For 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
This is what WRAL weather coverage sounds like.
Thunderstorm warning right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
When your safety is a priority.
An indication that there is a tornado on the ground, so get in your safe spot
in this area, get in your safe spot right now.
With the tools that make a difference.
WRAL Storm Tracker is inside the storm.
WRAL has the only dual Doppler radar in Wade County.
Hear it and see it every day.
It looks like the storm is doing exactly what we predicted to do.
That's WRAL News. Weather coverage you can count on.
Parenting is hard. Technology can make it harder. The Family Media Plan developed by the American Academy of Pediatrics helps make it easier. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan today to create the media plan that's right for your family.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now, save 50% on the new Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Increasing sunshine for this afternoon. It stays breezy, so a wind chill will make it feel like mid-20s this afternoon with a high in the mid-30s. Overnight, we'll see a low of 19 degrees, but it'll feel more like 10 to 12 with the wind chill. Tomorrow, we're seeing lots of sunshine, which will help the melting process, but it stays chilly with highs in the low 40s.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 508 points at 44,118. This hour of the drive is brought to you by RDU Airport Authority. Lufthansa is excited to take off from Raleigh Durham International Airport, connecting you to destinations like Germany, Italy, India, and beyond. Say yes to incredible journeys. Book today at Lufthansa.com.
Well, that was a butt whooping yesterday. An absolute butt whooping.
Belts to... Never mind, I can't say
Yeah,
it.
I wouldn't go that far. It's the drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Graham Hill producing the show. Man, UNC put it on NC State yesterday. Put it on them yesterday. And that final score that we had yesterday, 97-73. Didn't even feel that close.
They almost got free Bojangles biscuits at the Dean Smith Center last night. That would have been the icing on the cake for the fans in attendance.
It would have.
But what the heck, NC State?
We'll get to NC State here in a bit. But to the victor goes the spoils. North Carolina, that felt like one of the more complete games they've played this entire season. Early in the game, it was 6-6. A few minutes into the game, before you know it, UNC's up 46-18. And there's still a lot of time left in the first half. The game wasn't even close. And a game that North Carolina had to have. Had to have it. If they want to make the NCAA tournament, couldn't afford to lose that one. Not only did they win it, they won it emphatically. And Hubert Davis on the Tar Heel Sports Network after the game talked about what led to that team's quality play early in the game.
You know, big emphasis going into this game. They got 16 offensive rebounds against us in the first matchup. It was like, it can't happen tonight. You know, we have to put a body on them, and we have to get the rebound. And once we got the rebound, we knew that we would have an advantage in transition, and that's what happened. And that's been for us all year. Like, we've been consistently great in transition. But in order to get there, you have to get stops, and you got to rebound, and we did that. And the whole energy level, and then our press, we started pressing and creating turnovers, and the crowd was just amazing. It's, you know, the weather out there is rough.
He mentioned a couple things. Press, rebounding, more balanced scoring because they can score in transition. But most importantly, let's go to first things first here. The second chance points for UNC yesterday. They had 21 second chance points. It's the most they've had this season since the season opener against Elon, where they had 22. It felt like Carolina basketball watching them yesterday. They had 14 offensive rebounds yesterday. 14 offensive rebounds. He mentioned about how in the last game when they played, how NC State had 16 offensive rebounds. NC State only had 21 rebounds as a team yesterday. That's it. UNC nearly doubled them up. I think it was 40-21, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head. 40-21 total rebounding. They absolutely crushed them on the glass, and it led to, obviously, a lot of second chance points that I mentioned, 21 of them yesterday. They had 52 points in the paint. UNC got to the paint at will yesterday, whether it was Cadeau, Davis, Tremble, guys getting in the lane off dribble penetration and either finishing it themselves or throwing up lobs to Van Allen Lubin. Van Allen Lubin didn't even have a point in the first half. Then all of a sudden, boom, he's got like 12 in the early part of the second half just because NC State didn't have an answer. They made an adjustment to stop one thing, and the next thing was just right there. So the second chance opportunities were there. And Hubert Davis, as you heard in that soundbite a moment ago, talked about their press. And Carolina executed their press to damn near perfection. They forced NC State to play at a tempo overall in the game. I think they obviously were uncomfortable playing. But we even mentioned this yesterday. We mentioned it even on Tuesday. Against Syracuse, North Carolina, after they made free throws, oftentimes they set up a 1-2-1-1 press. Full court pressure. So one person guarding the person who's inbounding the ball, two people kind of flanking him to his sides, but a few feet behind him, one person in the middle, kind of intermediate, and one person guarding deep, like a free safety in football. 1-2-1-1. You saw them especially do that when they had a smaller group on the floor, when they had 3 or 4 guards on the floor. They did that especially with their smaller lineup. They continued to put the pressure on NC State. And even if they weren't going the 1-2-1-1 zone or on the inbound, that press, they were still picking guys up at 3/4 court and just having NC State maneuver around them just to get the ball across the timeline, forcing them to play at a tempo and make decisions at a tempo that North Carolina State was not ready to do. And Hubert Davis, again, on the Tar Heel Sports Network with Jones Angel and the crew over there on their radio broadcast, talked about what the difference defensively that they made things, what they did defensively, I guess you could say, that made things so difficult for NC State overall.
Yeah, on ball screens, we just did a really good job of making them make plays in tight spaces. We were connected to shooters. We didn't give the rollers a clean lane to get to the basket. We really forced them into tough contested mid-range shots, which very difficult to make. And once we were able to get the rebound, then everybody was running. We were getting out in transition, and but I thought defensively we did a really good job. And then when we pressed, I thought we just kept creating turnovers, and that was just ignited us, and just we played really well.
We'll get into the mishandlings of NC State here in the next segment, but North Carolina, like I said, absolutely executed that to a T. The first time in the game they went to the 1-2-1-1 press, it was right after a free throw that was made. I was like, oh, there's the press. There it is, right there. Forced a turnover. Ball's out of bounds against NC State. Forced a turnover. It was just boom, boom, boom. One right after the other. One right after the other. And again, I'll get into the NC State side of this next, but I was like, oh, if I knew, I hope darn well that you did. But all that pressure, the second chance opportunity, brings me to my third point of UNC's win yesterday. It felt like, especially from a scoring standpoint, it was the most balanced that they looked all season. Again, not that there weren't games where they were good down low, scoring points in the paint, or getting some second chance points, or getting fast break opportunities. It felt like it was all there together. As I mentioned, 21 second chance points, second most that they've had all season, only behind the 22 they had in game number 1 against Elon. 14 fast break points, 52 points in the paint. If you even look on the outside shooting, they were 8 of 20 from behind the arc. Now, okay, that's 40%. That's not bad. RJ Davis struggled from behind 3. He was just 1 of 8. But overall, pretty good shooting. You put up 97. After you just played on the road against Syracuse, and you had 88 on the road at Syracuse. The scoring balance was not only how they scored, but who scored as well. Ben Allen-Lubin, strong second half. We saw Jalen Withers step back and take a couple of three-pointers. Ian Jackson was hitting a couple of shots from the outside as well. The scoring was balanced throughout the lineup. The scoring was balanced in how they did it. So, yeah, North Carolina, one of their most complete games that they've played this season. This coming Saturday, when you're at home against Virginia, 4 o'clock game at the Dean Dome, we saw Virginia, even against Duke, they're playing back or getting to that style of play that Tony Bennett had established, that strong defensive game. Let's see if they can get those transition opportunities. Let's see if they can still have somewhat of a balance. Even though you might not score 97, you might do what Duke did and score at 80 and still be balanced in that regard. But the next 4 for UNC, if they play like they did yesterday over their next 4 games, they're winning those 4. Home against Virginia Saturday, at Florida State on Monday, home against Miami next Saturday, and then at Virginia Tech. If they played like they did yesterday, they're winning their next 4 games, which they got to have. They got to have if they want to make the NCAA tournament. But yesterday was as good as it has been, as good as it looked all season for North Carolina, blowing out your rival. Wasn't even close. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. Folks, I'm really want to make sure you all understand an opportunity that each and every single one of you have. And that's the opportunity you have to win a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Because the Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, Shiny Side Paint, and your Carolina Hurricanes, they're all teaming up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Simple to enter, folks. Just go to caniacsbike.com. You will see pictures of the bike. Gorgeous. Again, custom painted, custom built. It's not just a motorcycle. They slap some stickers on. No, it is fully custom painted, fully built custom motorcycle. It's absolutely gorgeous, and you can enter to win. Just go to caniacsbike.com. Again, caniacsbike.com. Deadline to enter, April 6th. Bike's going to be given away on the ice at the last home game of the year. Imagine that. Last home game of the season, you're on the ice, and you get handed the keys to a motorcycle. Sounds pretty awesome. Go to caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim this afternoon. NC State, same stuff, different day. We'll talk about them next.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
What city's fan base are you rooting against the most?
Kansas City.
They just lost. Why do you have to root against them now?
Because they've been at the top and they let you know about it every single chance that they get.
Well, they can't say nothing about it now. They lost. They got embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
They sure did. They sure did. But I'm just saying prior to that.
You're still rooting against them?
Yeah, big time.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can help provide you with semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text MAJOR to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie to see if you're eligible. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text MAJOR to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text MAJOR to 200-300. MAJOR to 200-300.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What? You expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
What did you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Dribbles to the foul line, bounces it right away to Styles, steals it. Head of steam left to right at the three-point line. Euro step, bucket, scoops it up, missed it, cleans it up, and ties the game at 6. Dontrez Styles stealing a basket 4 minutes in.
Yeah, NC State ain't dancing, I can tell you that much. That yesterday for NC State was awful. As great as it was for North Carolina, it was equally as bad for NC State. That was atrocious if you're NC State. They look lost. Felt like Keats was late first half, was checked out.
The whole team. The body language of the whole team just looked awful.
It was bad. That's what happens when you get stomped. You go into your rival's building and you get stomped. Yeah, you're going to have that kind of body language. And it's been a rough go in 2025 for NC State. Rough go. And Kevin Keats on the Wolfpack Sports Network with Matt Chasnow and Tony Haynes talked about what helped UNC get off to such a strong start early and what were his impressions of the game.
We got off to a terrible start, and I thought, which really bothers me is that we got beat to a lot of 50-50 balls. We gave up second and third opportunities. We gave up 7 of their threes in the first half. If you look at the second half, we battled, we fought. But on the road in the ACC, you can't dig a big hole and expect to come back to win the game. And, I thought the game started off, went back and forth. We turned the ball over too much in the first half. We gave up threes, we gave up transition. And once you dig yourself in a hole, our guys fought in the second half, but we had such a huge deficit and a big mountain to climb.
Yeah, they built an early deficit, like I mentioned when talking about North Carolina. The game was 6-6. Both teams kind of traded buckets a little bit early on. And then before you know it, it's 46-18 North Carolina and deer in the headlights for NC State. And really, it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff, especially on offense. I feel like their offense hasn't really evolved at much this season at all. Let's bring the ball up, maybe run this high screen, couple guys go down in the corners, and if nothing's there, Marcus Hill, tries to drive it and take it, or we get some crazy outside shot that really isn't of a high percentage look. It's the same thing, and they keep repeating the same mistakes in games. I mentioned about how North Carolina ran their press. They did it against Syracuse. They did it yesterday. They would make a free throw. Oftentimes they were going into this 1-2-1-1 press. And NC State kept repeating the same mistakes over and over again when UNC got in their press. They would inbound the ball into the corner, which is the worst place you can inbound the ball when another team is pressing. It's the worst place to do it.
The corner
because
coffin.
You have the coffin corners, Jay Billis said. There's no place to go. You can't dribble out of it because you're either going to run into a defender, run into another defender, or you're going to run out of bounds on the sideline, or you're going to run out of bounds on the baseline. There's nowhere to go with it. And then if you try and throw some skip pass, or you got hands all up in your face, it's a low percentage play, and sure enough, NC State fed right into it. They made a mistake the first time, then they made it again, and it's like, okay, maybe they'll adjust. Don't throw the ball there. They did it again. They did it again. They did it again. It's the same thing. We talked about the press earlier this week and how it was something that North Carolina did. And yesterday we saw it. And yesterday, Graham, on the show, to start things off on the show yesterday, I said there's one thing I want to see from both UNC and NC State, and one thing I don't want to hear post-game from UNC or NC State. The thing from UNC I didn't want to hear post-game was any questions about the team's fight. 0 questions about that after yesterday. And the one thing I said for NC State that I didn't want to hear post-game was about not following a scouting report. And then sure enough, Jaden Taylor, one of their fifth-year seniors, said this post-game.
Just scouting mistakes, mental mistakes, breakdowns. They just led to easy baskets for UNC.
Scouting mistakes. Scouting report. Scouting report. We have heard that so many times. It's game, 26, 27 in the season, and you're still hearing the same thing? That's from the top. That's 100% from the top. Either you're not teaching it properly or in a way that your players retain it, or maybe you're just trying to ask your players to do too much. That's got to be frustrating as heck if you're an NC State fan and that's what you hear. Which leads me to my next point. As I said, this season's it's a lost cause. It's a lost cause. There's nothing going for that team. And while I understand there's a mathematical chance of making the ACC tournament, but let's be honest, is there anything about what they've done over the last 15 games that says, yeah, Go ahead. I'll wait. I'd love to hear it because I don't see it. I hate being this super negative, but golly, you expected more from this team this year. Again, it wasn't expecting a Final Four run like they did last year. I understand that was a high-end moment. But at least at minimum, they would have been kind of what they were last year, right? At minimum. This is worse than last year. And last year really wasn't that good until you got to Washington, D.C. Maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong and NC State shows out these last few games and gets hot for the last few and they actually do make it to Charlotte for the ACC tournament, I'll say I was wrong. But again, what about this team says you can do it? And I'll say this. We follow the discourse online. Actually, before I get into that, Dontre Styles, one of their seniors, says the team fully understands what's at stake these last 5 games.
It's tough. Just how this game went and how they came out and just hit us and we didn't respond at all. And it was kind of over after that. And we can't afford to do that at all at this point in the season. And we know these next 5 games we got to get wins. So.
Got to get wins. Just get one. I know you have the win against Boston College, but just focus on getting one. Just focus on getting one if you're NC State. I saw someone post this yesterday. I can't remember who it was, and my apologies on this. And I was just I always should like to try and get a finger on the pulse of the fans. I like to go to games and just listen. Just listen to people. I know sometimes I'll sit with the media, or sometimes I'll just sit in the stands and just listen to what people are saying and try and follow online just to get an idea. And the comments that we have in our comment section on YouTube, by the way, 99.9 The Fans YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe there. I saw someone post this. I thought it was a great point. That even with the Final Four run that NC State had last season, your feelings about Kevin Keatts haven't changed. And that's telling. Is that the questions about the head coach that we're having, that people are having now and have been having for the last few weeks, that was all the same a year ago. All of it was the same a year ago. It's no different. Even with the Final Four run, it's no different. No different at all. That's a major concern if you're NC State. They got Wake Forest on Saturday coming in. I don't have any answers. We try and be solutions guys on this show. I mean, other than keep trying to play the young guys, but that's it.
Even then, Trey Parker, I should say, had his true freshman game last night.
He looked like a freshman yesterday, flustered, but I also feel like he never really had a chance early on to even get into any sort of rhythm. He's coming in there, they're down by a whole lot. Well, start chucking threes.
Eventually one has to go in, I guess, but don't know if that's a recipe for success.
It wasn't. I can tell you that. Not after that game yesterday. And if someone wants to try and paint the picture of, well, in the second half, you outscored them, well, great. It was not a pretty day yesterday for NC State. It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox here for ESPN Bet Sportsbook. As football season is wound down, college basketball is gearing up. Fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine in March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get in on all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app and sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. We have a Dean's List coming up. We got to share some praise to some young college athletes, but also tonight, it's as good as it gets. We'll have that next on The Drive.
Caniacs, get ready for Iced Tea, a brand new podcast that gives you the behind-the-scenes stories from the Carolina Hurricanes. You watch the game back?
Yeah, all the time.
And are you hard on yourself?
Oh, God, yeah.
Any of the players ask for their crust off?
We do have one player that I cut the crust off, and I individually wrap it for him.
Your name is on the Stanley Cup.
It's the best trophy in sports.
Follow Iced Tea with Megan LaMontagne in any podcast app or watch the show on YouTube.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. You turned your dating app for pets into a business, which just turned over its first billion. You turned around the fortunes of a failing football club. Politely turned down a Nobel Peace Prize. And turned up on Mars in your own reusable rocket. All while struggling to turn on the dishwasher. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover business development titles on Audible.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Hey, which way is your waiting room?
Oh, you can stay in your car. It only takes 10 minutes.
I can stay in? Get out. I better find a good playlist to listen to while I wait. EDM? Nah. Oh, what about something classical? Nah. You got any suggestions?
Dad rock?
Now you speaking my language.
Take 5. The stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
It's time for the Coastal Scholar Athlete of the Month.
Hello, Creighton Blackwell here from Coastal Credit Union and 99.9 The Fan. Tonight we are at Green Level High School, and we're here to celebrate the newest Scholar Athlete of the Month, Lexi Taylor.
My family is definitely like my biggest support through everything. My sister and my parents both support me through my hardest days and my best days, and they're always there to support me.
Lexi's a phenomenal athlete, comfortable with whatever you ask her to do. She's strong, she's poised, she doesn't get flustered easily.
And she's just like grown up so much as like a captain and a teammate, and she's been a captain now for 2 years, and I really just think she's been like such a great help to our team.
Well, I've been cheering with her since 7th grade and we're seniors now, so I've kind of like watched Lexi like grow up, I feel like, and she's like done the same with me. So I've like seen her like step into a leadership role, and I feel like she's just always super encouraging and keeps a positive attitude.
It means a lot to me to just be able to be recognized in such like a wide area with so many amazing athletes. So I just feel great to like feel like someone's like seeing all the hard work that I've been putting into my sport and my academics, so I'm very grateful for it.
Congratulations, Lexi.
For over 20 years, 99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union have been recognizing scholar athletes at Triangle area schools. If you'd like to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Charlie McAvoy put one on net. Now we're 9 seconds in. We had a fight 2 seconds in, another one 1 second later. Now in the center of the action, it's Colton Parayko and JT Miller.
8 o'clock tonight. I can't wait. Four Nations final. Canada, U.S. The rivalry back again. This time it's on home soil for the U.S. at TD Garden up in Boston. I'll be breaking that down here in just a little bit. I cannot wait for tonight. Must watch television. Must watch TV. There's no other team in the area playing anything tonight. I mean, I know Campbell basketball's playing tonight, but you know what I mean. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Graham Hill producing the show. By the way, real quick, Tim will be back tomorrow.
There you have it.
Tim will be back tomorrow.
Breaking news here from The Fan.
I mean, we'll go with that. Breaking news. We always get questions sometimes in our YouTube live chat or our YouTube videos like, hey, where's Tim been? Where's Tim been? Tim has been home. He and his wife just had their second kid. So the plan is for Tim to be back tomorrow.
Tim Donnelly has been activated for tomorrow's show.
Yes.
Maybe that's a better way of putting it.
He's been activated. That's right. He was on the
Healthy
2-week
scratch.
paternity list. Yeah, healthy scratch. Healthy extra. Family. That's what it is. Scratch tonight. Why? Family. Before we get into more North Carolina last night and obviously the Four Nations, Graham, time to get class in session. Time to hit the Dean's List. So here in the Dean's List, we like to discuss college athletes, college players, and people involved in college sports, and give them their flowers. Give them their praise. I'm actually going to go right to last night's NC State UNC game. Seth Trimble. 15 points on 6 of 9 shooting. 7 rebounds to lead the team once again in rebounding. He leads the team in rebounding. The 6'3" guard.
That's insane.
Leads the team in rebounding. Not the 6'9", 6'11" guys. It's the 6'3" guard leads the team around rebounding. Now that could be both a blessing and a curse. He's willing to get down there and put the big bodies and rebound, and that's a good thing. But also, you can maybe question, well, why aren't the big guys pulling down the boards? Well, again, works both ways. In the sense of, hey, if Seth Trimble does pull down a lot of rebounds, transition opportunities. Because he can just get the ball and go. So Seth Trimble. Graham, you have anyone that you want to throw on the Dean's List?
I actually do. I'm going to go with James Brown of North Carolina. The 16 freshman forward got in for only 2 minutes, cleanup minutes there at the end of the game. Had 4 points, dunked there at the end, got the bench going. One of the things I like about James Brown, it's actually funny. I see a lot of people like advocating for James Brown to play more minutes, even though he's a freshman. It's a stacked roster. I get it. But he's just kind of one of those energy guys. And rumor has it, according to the Carolina Insider podcast, earlier in the season, second game of this season actually, when North Carolina was down by by 20 points at least to Kansas, James Brown, one of the freshmen, was one of the guys in the locker room, like trying to motivate the guys, like yelling the guys to put up a fight, to get active. And so for him to come in last night, again, clean up minutes, 4 points, but he had a dunk there at the end. And I love the goggles, by the way. Any basketball player that wears goggles, I'm all here for it. So James Brown's on my Dean's List.
One thing I remember was went to the game where they played against Pitt. And during one of the TV timeouts they have on the screen, you know, players talking about stuff like kind of like you would see at a Canes game or really other sporting event. And the question was, favorite thing about game day? Favorite thing about game day? Some people said, you know, it's the walk through the tunnel. It's the
jump around.
It's something along those lines, right? James Brown pops up. Oh, favorite thing about game day? Winning.
I love it. I love that mindset.
I was like, I'm like, that I can get behind. Like that, yes. That I can get behind. But actually, you know what? You know I'm going to throw on the Dean's List real quick. Just popped in my head. UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts.
Yep.
Goes to the game yesterday during a TV timeout. Kind of swerves the fans like a little bit because there are a lot of students in attendance. We'll dive into that here in just a little bit.
Gets booed a little bit too.
But shows up and says, all right, folks, I'm going to paraphrase here. Tomorrow, classes are canceled. And, of course, the students go nuts because, like, yeah, no class tomorrow. That's great. Awesome. We enjoy the snow, night. We're beating our rival, all that
Sweet
kind of
Caroline
stuff.
keeps playing.
all the good feels and stuff at North Carolina. Well, actually, we'll dive into the Dean Dome and stuff here in just a little bit. But the next one on my Dean's list, I'm actually going to go to SMU. Cario Oquendo of SMU. 25 points yesterday as the Mustangs beat Notre Dame 97-73. Oddly similar score, Graham.
Yeah.
97-73, SMU gets a win over Notre Dame. SMU right now is tied for Wake Forest for the number 4 spot in the ACC standings. So they're trying to compete to get to Thursday of the ACC tournament. Get a double bye to that day. But also, SMU, after their loss to Wake Forest, is trying to push to still be in the conversation in the NCAA tournament. Going into yesterday, SMU and North Carolina were considered as for the two of the first 4 teams out of the NCAA tournament, according to Joe Lunardi of ESPN. So they need wins. As much as North Carolina needs wins, SMU is in the exact same boat. Now, SMU does have a big game at home against Clemson this weekend, and a win against Clemson would massively boost what they're trying to do, especially when the committee might look and say, hey, these two teams are similar in a lot of different areas. North Carolina does have the head-to-head win against SMU earlier this season, but when you also start to compare records against teams that are in the field, a win against Clemson is really going to boost SMU. So anyway, Oquendo for SMU, Cario Oquendo, 25 points yesterday, gets on my Dean's list. So that's going to wrap things up for the Dean's list here. Class is now out of session. Obviously, no class in session today for North Carolina, for UNC. And obviously, there's a lot of schools. There's no schools in Wake County and so on, and Johnston County, Durham. I think some places might be on remote learning, all those kinds of things. But no one actually went to school today. But something that was kind of special, I guess, last night for North Carolina was they just said, look, if you can get here, we're going to let you in. Now, they encouraged no one to actually drive to Chapel Hill, or if you're in town to drive to the arena or to a parking deck. They heavily encouraged people to walk, but they said, if you get here, you can come in, we'll seat you somewhere. If you get in the building, we'll seat you somewhere. Now, if I remember correctly, I think they said if you actually had a ticket, they could, if you could actually still maybe sit in those seats or potentially, lack of a better term, upgrade. Because I'm sure there are obviously a lot of people that showed up there that still had tickets, which, hey, you made it. If you got there safe, good. But I think it allowed actually a lot more students to show up to the game. Now, at North Carolina, the students, some of them sit kind of behind the baskets on the lower level. Obviously, you have the band in the corner, but there are a lot of students that sit in the upper level. But last night, I felt like a lot more students than normal just because there's probably not a whole lot going on campus that night. And also, I can just walk over here to the game and go for free. Yeah, I'm going to go. But there are so many students actually sitting down in the lower level that you could actually hear it and see it and feel it when you're watching on television. It was a noticeable difference out there on the court. And this was actually something that was brought up with Hubert Davis post-game, who talked about how a game like this one really makes him love and appreciate the Dean Dome.
And for us to have 14, 15,000 fans there, it's just, I really wanted to thank them. They made a difference. And the players have said that to me. After the game, they were like, that crowd was different. It made a difference. And it's so nice. Many reasons why I love the Smith Center, because the students could get here. They can just come down the hill and come to the game and support their fellow classmates. And so it was a really great night.
There's been some talk, we saw it earlier this week, about how North Carolina is actually looking to build a new basketball arena off campus, the area known as Carolina North, just a couple miles just north of downtown Chapel Hill. But if last night was played at an arena off campus, you don't have that atmosphere. You don't get that. Kind of like if it was the same situation at the Lenovo Center. Hey, we're not allowing everyone to drive in here or whatever it might be. If you can walk, then cool. That's a lot harder to get from NC State's campus to Lenovo Center. But using, again, North Carolina talking about this, they're right there. And I think this is something that North Carolina and a lot of people want to continue to see a men's basketball arena still on campus.
One thing that I love about covering sports is that every so often you notice parallels, those storylines, essentially. And last night's storyline was UNC, NC State, rivalry game, obviously, but it's a snow game. And when you look at Carolina basketball game as a program, historically, and Adam Lucas, co-host of the Carolina Insider podcast with Jones Angel, pointed this out on his Twitter account, North Carolina historically has some of their best games fan-wise in snow games. 1994 versus Maryland, 2000 versus Maryland, when Maryland was at the top tier of its college basketball program. 2017 against NC State, where North Carolina manhandled NC State en route to a 54 or a 51-point win. And then last night was another prime example of if you move the Dean Dome off the campus of North Carolina, you don't have that atmosphere where 14,000, 15,000 fans show up and essentially help rally that team to a win against their rival.
Great point. Great point. I'll play devil's. I mean, I personally love, as someone who worked and coached in college athletics and played college sports, I love being on a college campus to play games. Even when I go cover them, I love being on campus. I think there's just a different feel to it. But I'll play devil's advocate on this one, though, Graham. North Carolina is trying to generate revenue, right? Long-term sustained revenue. They need to upgrade their facility. Like the Dean Dome's been sitting there for 40 years now. They need an upgrade, whether it's upgrades to the actual Dean Dome itself or just a new building as a whole. Chancellor Lee Roberts was quoted in the Triangle Business Journal saying, hey, there has to be other things around our home basketball floor, our home basketball stadium or arena that allows people to do other things that will keep them in that area, quote unquote, like entertainment district. The whole thing that Tom Dundon's trying to do with Lenovo Center, building stuff up around it. Now, if North Carolina can get a cut of that money of the other stuff that's going on, the athletic department, that's what they're going to do. Because again, how often do the snow games happen? Not very. Not very often. So, again, I'll be devil's advocate on that side. But to switch what you're saying, Graham, yeah, last night, it was noticeable. And Hubert Davis, you just heard the soundbite, talked about it was a noticeable difference. I was actually pretty impressed with the crowd that was there last night because I wasn't sure, how many people are actually going to be there? Like, who else is going to show up? And I was like, man, there feel like there are a lot more students there. Granted, they were all more condensed down low.
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot of people up top, which, again, makes total sense. But it felt like there was a lot of students down there, and there was a different energy, especially with it being a rivalry game.
There were a lot of students in seats that they've never sat before. And one of the reasons why is because UNC basketball honors its longtime season ticket holders by giving them priority seating right there in the front row. You only see the students in the rafters, and not saying the rafters behind the baskets are a bad spot, but then they also go up into that upper level section. And then where we sit for media in the corner above the tunnel where UNC runs out, they also have a section to the left of us that's kind of like the overflow. So it was a cool experience for the students last night to get that up close and personal and be right there on the floor. And it certainly made a difference last night. You could just tell there was a different atmosphere, even watching from home. You could tell there was a different atmosphere and energy amongst the Dean Dome. And I get your point. I just hate that when we talked about this last week, we're getting to a point where these historic college basketball venues are starting to die out in a sense.
I think it's not only just the venues, but just sometimes the tradition of sports is kind of phasing out all in the name of money. All in the name of money. I love the fact that North Carolina, again, I love games being played on college campuses. I love the fact that North Carolina went to Kansas this season. And I love the fact that Kansas is making the return trip. I love when these games are played on actual college campuses, not these neutral sites.
Right.
I personally, that's just me. For example, like Duke went to Arizona this year after Arizona came to Cameron. That's great for college basketball. The ACC SEC Challenge, that saw Auburn, who's right now the number 1 team in the country, going to Cameron Indoor. Great for college sports. I love the fact that these games are on college campuses. That's what I appreciate. But again, I see the business side of it too.
Same thing with Alabama traveling to Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina in what was a Sweet 16 rematch. Like, I love how that storyline lines up where the two teams met last year in the NCAA tournament, Alabama in the North Carolina season. Then they got to play again this year at one of the other teams' venues.
I'm all for keeping it on campus, but I know where the times are going. You got to generate money in some way, shape, or form. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Speaking of money, tonight, Canada-U.S., that's got money written all over it. There's nothing, as a sports fan, there's nothing you really enjoy more than a one-game winner-takes-all. One game, winner takes all. We had that just a couple weeks ago with the Super Bowl. Hey, it's one game, winner takes all, right? One game, winner takes all. And this is what the Four Nations Cup has led to. Every game or every team has played 3 games in a round robin. You get the top 2, one game, winner takes all. U.S. Canada, which was on Saturday, absolutely electric. The 3 fights in 9 seconds. The stars out there on the ice competing. Get Connor McDavid scoring a goal. Jake the Jackwagon Gensel scores a pair of goals for the Team USA. He's on our team today, by the way. He's on our team right now. It's everything that you want in sports. And right now, for the sport of hockey, you get a lot of casual fans that are tuning in right now, and that's great for the sport. It's great for the sport. And you truly have best on best. When you look at tonight's game, when you look at matchups and things like that, like there isn't really, like no team really has a true weakness. Now, the United States, their defense, I think, is stronger than Canada's overall, even though with Charlie McAvoy not playing in the game due to like a upper body injury. United States defense is still stronger overall, but I mean, there again, it's negligible at this point. It's not a thing where, hey, you know what? That other team's fourth line iced the puck. They got to stay on the ice. Let's throw out our top guys. I mean, most teams, their fourth lines that we're seeing in this tournament is most teams' number 1. Mike Sullivan, Team USA head coach, talked about the excitement of facing Canada once again in the Four Nations
That
final.
first game was such a great hockey game. I think it's great for hockey that there's an opportunity for these two teams to meet again. Obviously they're both teams have star power all around the lineup. It was a very competitive hockey game, the first game. I would anticipate the next one will be as every bit as competitive, if not more. So, as I said after that game against Canada, the way that game was played with the emotional investment on both sides, it's just such an indication of how much these guys care.
And that's the thing. He said, indication of how much these guys care. And they do. It shows. I mean, you're walking in. What you're going to get tonight is a Game 7 Stanley Cup final on steroids. That's what you're getting tonight. A Stanley Cup final on steroids. That's the equivalent because you're playing at the intensity level that you're going to get in a Game 7. Again, winner takes all, and you're competing for a championship. But because of the talent, obviously, that's compiled on both these teams, that's why I say it's juiced up. That's what you're getting tonight. And now both teams are kind of dealing with some injury stuff in a couple of ways. For example, Charlie McAvoy, defenseman for the United States who plays for the Boston Bruins, he's out. Matthew and Brady Tkachuk, as well as Austin Matthews, were kind of dealing with stuff forwards for Team USA. But Mike Sullivan said earlier this morning, yep, everyone's available with the exception of Charlie McAvoy. So those guys are playing, but how effective are they going to be? So things to keep in mind going in. By the way, Seth Jarvis will be playing tonight for Team Canada. He's back in for Travis Konechny. tonight's game is everything that you want. Like, sit back, get your popcorn ready. Now, some people are going to try and make the game bigger than what it is in terms of other stuff off the ice. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about watching this game and what this brings for the sport and the intensity and how much these guys care. Again, let's keep this in mind. This is an exhibition. It's not a gold medal in the Olympics at stake. It's not truly the World Cup of hockey like we've seen in the past. It's obviously not the Stanley Cup. But it goes to show you how much these guys care. And that's what makes it so compelling, is the fact that these two teams, these two countries, wearing their country's colors and their uniforms, are literally willing to fight for it. Literally. We saw it in the last game. Now, I anticipate in this game, with it being a winner-take-all, I don't think we get the 3 fights in 9 seconds type deal. I don't even think we even get a fight tonight, if we're being honest, because there's too much at stake. And if you're a player for the United States or for Canada, you can't risk sitting in the box and impacting your team negatively in that way if you're sitting in the box. You can't afford to do it. If I'm Brady Tkachuk, what's the best thing you can do for your team tonight? It's being on the ice, heavy with the forecheck, in front of the net, pestering whoever's in goal, probably Jordan Binnington for Team Canada. That's how you best impact the game tonight. You can still play with the edge and the ferocity in what you had in Game 1, but you can't afford to be sitting in the box for 5+ minutes straight because you got into a fight. That tone has already been set. Everyone knows that's what's at stake going into this game. You have to control the emotions in that regard. But can Canada, United States actually live up to the intensity of that last game? Mark Messier, ESPN, was on Get Up earlier today, said, can it live up to the hype?
Yeah, it's going to be just as intense. And everybody's talking about the fighting at the start of the last game. The way I look at it, it was one of the best games I've ever watched. The skill level, the speed, the intensity, the goaltending. It was a master class in how to play hockey. Defensively, the U.S. played incredible. To be able to contain McDavid and McKinnon through the neutral ice zone the way they did in a short amount of time and coming together as a team was incredible to watch. And, of course, Canada, with all the injuries that they have, they defended well. They just didn't quite have enough on the offensive side. And as we know, it's hard to score one-on-one in this league. You need outman situations there. So hopefully McCarr being back in the lineup can help Canada with some of those odd man situations that it takes to score at this level.
On ESPN today, talk about the intensity and guys playing in and who are key factors. You know who actually has been getting a lot of love over this tournament over the last couple weeks? It's Jacob Slavin.
Let's go.
It's been Jacob Slavin. By the way, there's an article written on ESPN.com today. It was by Ryan Clark, one of the writers. Not the Ryan Clark that you see on NFL coverage, but a different Ryan Clark. But nonetheless, talked about how Jacob Slavin has been like the quiet hero for Team USA. The thing that we all as Canes fans have known for years, like, yeah, this guy's the best lockdown defender in the entire league, but because he doesn't put up the offensive stats of a Quinn Hughes or some of these other guys, he doesn't get the attention. But when it comes to actually shutting things down for the other team, Jacob Slavin has been the guy. Against Canada, U.S. won 3-1. You know who was on the ice for all 3 goals for the United States? Jacob Slavin. You know who wasn't on the ice when Canada scored? Jacob Slavin. The guy's been a beast with obviously his physicality, everything that he does defensively. Again, we've seen it. We know it. But now the world is seeing it too, and there's going to be a lot of people tuning in tonight. It's amazing seeing the people that I've seen online, like messaging each other and talking to each other saying, man, I'm getting together with friends tonight. Like, what are we doing for food to watch this game? They're treating it like it's a Super Bowl. And that's great for the sport. That's great for hockey. And if you have friends, like you might be a diehard Canes fan, or just a diehard hockey fan of whatever team that you root for. And if you have people that are kind of casual, be like, hey, like, tell me about this player or ask me about it. Invite them in. Don't gatekeep. Invite them in. Allow them to be part of the experience, because tonight it's going to be exactly that. It's going to be a fun experience. By the way, folks, text the keyword music to 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Dierks Bentley, Zach Top, and the band Lola at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on August 8th. Again, text the keyword music to 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Dierks Bentley and others at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on August 8th. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. We're a couple of months out, but that doesn't mean the anticipation for the NFL draft has waned in any way, shape, or form. The anticipation only grows. And one expert is all in on Jalen Walker to the Carolina Panthers. We'll talk about that more next.
Hey, it's Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry. And if you haven't been to Bailey's Fine Jewelry's Village District location in Raleigh and gone to their Omega Boutique, you need to make it a priority. These watches are not just something to keep time on your wrist, although they do that with unbelievable precision. They're also conversation pieces. They're also statement pieces. When you walk into a room with an Omega Speedmaster or a Seamaster or a Prestige or a DeVille on your wrist, people notice in a good way. The Speedmaster has been worn on the moon, so you know it comes with a certain gravitas. A Seamaster is worn by your favorite movie spy in darn near all of the recent blockbusters, and you know what I'm talking about when it comes to extra suave movie spies. They make a statement, they tell a story, and they make you feel like $1 million. It's all at the Omega Boutique, Village District location in Raleigh of Bailey's Fine Jewelry.
The Adam Gold Show.
Their more pressing need to get this team across the line was never Mikko Rantanen. It was, man, we got to get better down the middle. We have to get better, more hard to play against in the middle of the ice. JT Miller, by the way, right now is playing third center for the Rangers. So to me, if this was about this year, it would have been JT Miller would have been the target.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What? You expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Increasing sunshine for this afternoon. That will help our melting process, but it's cold. Our high temperature only in the mid-30s, and it will feel more like mid-20s with the wind chill. Bitter wind chills overnight tonight. It's going to feel like low teens as you're heading out the door tomorrow morning. Skies will be clear. We'll see a low of 19, and tomorrow's high 41. We'll see some sunshine, which will continue to help the melting.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 450 points at 44,176. This hour of the drive is brought to you by Deep River Sport & Clays. Deep River Sport & Clays is the only area dealer for Caesar Garina and 5-arm Italia shotguns, including the Siren line for women. Learn more at deepriversportandclays.com.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
It's the drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. By the way, Tim will be back tomorrow, folks. Tim will be back tomorrow. Don't fret. But until then, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, 99.9 The Fan. Just go out there, search for it. It's right out there for each and every single one of you. By the way, we actually do have our live chat. There's a poll question on there regarding NC State basketball. Feel free to leave your thoughts regarding that. But also, I know this is something that Carolina Panthers fans are anticipating, and it's actually the 2025 NFL Draft. Because I think Panthers fans were excited about how 2024 season ended, especially that final win against the Atlanta Falcons. You won in overtime. Bryce Young had 5 total touchdowns that he accounted for. Overall, great offensive performance. Defense, the whole season left much to be desired. And I think Panthers fans are starting to realize, hey, you know what? We're building towards something. And there's actually something that Panthers fans can really grasp and put their arms around about the direction the franchise is heading. Is there a long way to go? Yes. But it feels like there's a start of something going in the right direction. Just got to fix that dang defense. Like, plain and simple, got to fix the defense. The worst in the NFL this past year. Based off point score, which is the most important stat in sports, right? The scoreboard. You gave up the most points in the entire league. Actually, you gave up the most points in a single season in NFL history. I understand there's 17 games, but if you look at per game average, still 5th or 6th worst per game points allowed in NFL history. Yeah, they stunk last year. We all know that. So can you get a game changer on defense at pick number 8? That's what Panthers fans are anticipating. Can you get a defensive game changer that will impact the game in such a way that it will help elevate the play of others? Because if there's a lot of attention focused on this star player or potential star player that you get with the 8th overall pick, that takes a little bit of attention away from others, which may allow them, again, to elevate their level of play. Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network put out a mock draft recently, which had the Carolina Panthers taking Jalen Walker, the linebacker from Georgia. Now, if anyone watched the Super Bowl, which I'm assuming if you're listening to this program, you probably watched the Super Bowl. We all saw how dominant the Philadelphia Eagles defense was. Where's like half their defense from? Georgia. It's like half their defense is from the University of Georgia. They're all Bulldogs. Dan Morgan wants dogs. Go to Georgia and get them. And Daniel Jeremiah, earlier today on a press conference availability that he had, which I was able to sit in and be part of, shared his thoughts on Jalen Walker.
That's a good discussion, and it's a good debate in the room. I mean, I don't think you want to do it just to get a fourth-round pick, but I think if you can, get some quality resources.
We'll get to the
He's
right
one of
one
my
here in a
favorite players to study. He's got the versatility to play off the ball, on the ball. I think he's got a chance to be a special pass rusher. I don't know if we're going to see him do everything in Indianapolis. I know he, been nursing some things, but I anticipate when you see him run, if he does decide to run, he can run the 4.4s. Like he's got legit explosive burst. He plays with a ton of energy. He's a tone setter. The thing I love about him is, I see he plays with energy and passion. He plays fast. He's physical. And then when you talk to the coaches at Georgia and they say, like, this guy is like rare off the charts intangibles, leadership. He took over a couple games. That the Texas game at Texas, that was a statement there. So I think he's a lock to go in the top 10.
High praise. The thing that stood out to me, again, outside of what he can do and produce on the field, hearing Dingle Jeremiah say from coaches and from other people saying it's the intangibles and leadership that he brings. We have seen in 1 year Dave Canales really put a stamp on the culture that he wants to set. And I'll give a lot of the credit to Dan Morgan as well, because they found the guys that they felt best fit the culture of the team that they want moving forward, not just compiling a group of guys that might have some level of talent. That's what Matt Rule decided to do, and it didn't really work out. Did it? No, it didn't. They tried to do that with Frank Reich, just try and compile a bunch of guys. Didn't work out. You have to have some sort of basis that your team is built on regarding culture in the locker room. So hearing that from Dingle Jeremiah, that got me excited. If this is the person that the Carolina Panthers are selecting. And by all accounts, just because of some of the other top guys and needs that are above them in the draft, picks 1 through 7 by other teams like the Titans and the Browns and so forth, that Walker's probably going to be sitting right there. Myself and Chris Lee from WREL Sports, we host a podcast called Panthers Playbook. We dropped a new episode today, a little bit of a special episode, but we talked to Jordan Reed, ESPN draft analyst and college football analyst from ESPN. When we talked to him about Jalen Walker, he gave a comp to Frankie Louvu, which I was like, okay, Frankie Louvu, I'm for that. I'm for that. But what about the possibility of trading down? Could the Carolina Panthers move down to the draft, if possible? Dingle Jeremiah shared his thoughts on if the Carolina Panthers could actually trade down from the number 8 pick.
That's a good discussion, and it's a good debate in the room. I mean, I don't think you want to do it just to get a fourth-round pick, but I think if you can, get some quality resources, get another pick on day 2, he's a great player, and I wouldn't have any criticism if they decide we're just going to stick and pick him and go forward. But when you have this many holes, and this is a draft that does have a lot of talent and depth, on the defensive front, I'd be interested in that option. I'm not saying, that's the right or the wrong way to go. I just think, man, there's so many holes there, and you could fill a bunch of them if you could slide back a little bit. So, I think that's a good debate and a good discussion. I could spend 10 minutes and argue it each way. So they just have to see what they get. I definitely think you'd want to get a premium. I don't think you just do that just to go back and get an extra pick.
I like the idea of trading down, depending on obviously what you're going to get in return. You don't want to move down from 8 to like 16 where the Cardinals only get like a 3rd round pick in return. Or I'm sorry, a 4th round pick in return as part of it. I don't think there's good value in that. You're not really gaining a whole lot. But depending on what you're getting in return, I'm okay with that too. But if there's a guy that you feel like can be a franchise changer, at least a game changer for your defense, that's sitting right there at number 8, just take your guy. Just take your guy. Nothing wrong with that either. Just take your guy that comes right down there to you. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. We have a ladder challenge coming up. It's the last ladder challenge that Graham and I will have because Tim will be back tomorrow. Tim and I will pick up the ladder challenge tomorrow. But also, going into the stretch run here of ACC basketball, what's our confidence and concern when it comes to ACC basketball in the state of North Carolina and the 4 schools. We'll have that next.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morsell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Hello, I'm John Heister for John Heister Chevrolet in Fuquay Arena. You know, people are asking us, how are you selling so many cars all of a sudden? Well, did you know that the Beltline has opened up the outer loop? We're only 28 minutes from Knightdale. We're only 19 minutes from Clayton and 15 minutes from Apex. We're now the most convenient Chevrolet dealership to reach in the Triangle. And the best part is, you don't have to traverse the inner city traffic. It's just one more reason to get off your keister and come to Heister.
Now at John Heister Chevrolet, get up to $13,000 off with Chevy loyalty on a 2024 Chevrolet Tahoe. Together, let's drive.
At Wells Fargo, we know what got you into your business. Whether it's manufacturing, running a restaurant, or your business from home. What you didn't get into your business for was banking. But luckily, Wells Fargo offers business checking, payments, and lending all in one place, in your neighborhood and on our app, so you can focus on doing what you love. Wells Fargo, you're good at business, we're good at business banking. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/business. Terms apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I ordered the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print it all for my business.
Oh, if you can think it, Staples can print it, and will beat any print quote.
Oh, great. I'm thinking new brochures and yard signs.
No problem.
I'm thinking calendars, t-shirts, and pens.
Totally.
I'm thinking Staples is the place for printing.
I thought you might think that.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right. Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
Lowe's knows that your deadlines don't change, even when your job does. But with Lowe's Buy Online, Pick Up in Store, we'll help you adjust on the fly. And when you absolutely can't leave the project, we can deliver to your job site as soon as same day. Lowe's knows pros. We help, you save. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Trimble on the drive to the top of the key, kicks it over on the left side to Cadeau. Left corner, Withers feeling it and hits another triple.
Coming up at 4:45, we will have a feedback frenzy, which, by the way, we appreciate your feedback on our YouTube page. 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. Give us a follow there. We actually really do appreciate when everyone leaves comments and thoughts, whether it's in our YouTube live chat. We also love hearing from people in our comment section as well. But before we get to the feedback frenzy at 4:45, Graham, it's time for us to do one last ladder challenge. So something that Graham and I have been doing, we didn't do it yesterday because yesterday was a little bit of a weird day. Snow and all that stuff coming down, which, by the way, I actually just got word. It looks like Wake County schools are closed tomorrow as well. They've already made that decision.
I miss those days.
Yeah, right? By the way, yesterday, how did you enjoy your snow day? Did you enjoy your snow day yesterday?
Oh, yeah, it was fun. Once I left here, I just went back to my bunker and just stayed in all night. I did have a buddy call me at 5 o'clock once the news got released that if you could walk, in quotation marks, to the Dean Dome, that there would be no ticket required for entry. And he said, hey, I got a proposition for you.
Okay.
And I was like, as much as I love being boots on the ground, Dennis, you know that's my saying. That's my term.
Boots on the ground.
I don't know if I had the proper boots to be on the ground last night at the Dean Dome. So I stayed home and watched the basketball game. And honestly, I do not regret not going over there to watch whatever that was.
I mean, it was a heck of a game. I mean, depending on who you are, I should say.
Yeah, depending on who you were cheering for.
So last night, before we get into the ladder challenge, but last night, sitting at home, my girlfriend and I were sitting at home, and you know what? It's snow on the ground. We took the dog for a walk, enjoy the snow, and it's like, let's do soup and grilled cheese tonight.
Oh,
we
nice.
had a thing of tomato soup, so we made tomato soup, and we made grilled cheese last night. It was great. We sat upstairs on the couch, watched the game, and then afterwards, just kind of flipped through the channels a little bit. On CBS, they had Price is Right at night. So they had a primetime Price is Right on CBS yesterday.
Interesting.
I was like, this is full-on snow days. I mean, take me back to 1996 when I was in elementary school watching Price is Right on a snow day. School's canceled, go play in the snow a little bit, come back inside, eat grilled cheese, watch Price is Right, then go back outside a little bit more. I was like, this is wonderful.
All that would have been missing is Murray coming on right afterwards.
Right?
Or Jerry Springer, one of those two. That's all you can say about that.
Yeah, get Jerry Springer on there.
Bring out the olives.
Get Maury on there. You are not the father. All right, Graham, I am up 3-2 on days on the ladder challenge. We each make 2 picks, put the same amount of money on each bet, and whomever has the most money at the end of the day wins. So, Graham, I'm up 3-2. You can tie things up tonight. You got to go all in on something here. Graham, give me your 2 bets tonight for our ladder challenge.
I'm going all in on the Four Nations final because why not? And the first bet that I'm taking is Team USA -1.5 at +235. I love the plus value on this. I think that USA is going to win this. I can see USA being up by a goal, and of course Canada pulling their goalie to pull in an extra attacker, and then I just need a Jacob Slavin empty net goal or something. That would just be icing on the cake. So my first bet, Team USA -1.5 at +235.
Minus a goal and a half. That's gutsy, dude. All right.
And then my second one, I'm trying to think. I had 3 for place your bets with Adam Gold. I'm going to go with my God. First period goal in the first 5 minutes at +235.
Okay. So goal in the first 5 minutes at +235. Doesn't matter who scores, whatever
Doesn't matter who scores.
Goal scored.
And if it's USA, that's even better.
Of course. I'm actually going to go no goals scored in the first 10 minutes of tonight's game. So I'm going under half a goal. So that's a +105. I think it's going to be one of those tight checking games, not a lot of space on the ice. Both sides are really going to make sure they don't make the mistake. It's going to be physical and aggressive. Teams are going to want to try and just get pucks into the corners and grind out some shifts and see if they can get something that way, something kind of dirty and grimy. But I think neither side is going to concede anything in the first 10 minutes. So give me that bet at +105, and just give me United States straight up to win on the money line -118. Straight up to win.
Probably should have gone with my Austin Matthews anytime goal scorer, but it's okay.
Hey, if the captain wants to score, I'm in.
I mean, you bring up a great point. This game's either going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be tightly contested, like you just said, and it's like the first team to make a mistake, gives up a break, turns the puck over, could lead to a breakaway, and that could be the only goal of the game. Or it's going to be rocket fire.
What's your score tonight? What's your prediction?
I'm going to go USA 4-2.
4-2? I was going to go 3-2. 3-2 United States. 3-2 United States wins this one. Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right, so that's our ladder challenge for today. Let's get into a little bit of ACC Cons and Cons. So on Cons and Cons, we share our confidence and our concerns when it comes to the 4 ACC schools in the state of North Carolina. Cons and Cons. We're actually going to go in order of the podium. So we're actually going to go with the team that we had off the podium to start things when we had on Monday's show. Off the podium this week, we actually had NC State. So we're going to start off confidence and concerns for NC State. When someone asks you, hey, you want the good news or the bad news first? You always say, give me the bad news. So let's start with the concerns. Graham, what is your concern when it comes to NC State men's basketball right now?
My concern, and this could have been a concern for just all season, is that this coaching staff is letting these players down. The one thing that stood out last night to me after NC State's embarrassing loss to North Carolina was the Jaden Taylor soundbite that we played earlier in the show. If you missed that conversation, it's on the fans' YouTube channel. And that's when he was asked what led to UNC's early lead in the first half. And the first thing he said was scout report mistakes. How many times has this been a recurring theme for NC State throughout the year? Whether it's being said by a player, whether it's being said by head coach Kevin Keats. They're 26 games into the season with just 5 games to go. At what point does it fall back? Not even on Kevin Keats. How many assistant coaches does he have? Like 10 to 15. At what point does it fall on the assistant coaches that there's not one guy on that staff that can get a scout report across to a basketball player or to a college player? Or maybe it's just on the players that just can't comprehend it, one of the two. But either way, that just falls back on coaching. When scout reports is an issue over and over and over again. 26 games into the season, and we're still having difficulty understanding a scout report. I don't know what else to do at this point.
Strong words from Graham Hill right there. Strong word. I mean, I got nothing else to add to that. I got nothing else to add on top of that. Well said. 100% well said. My concern when it comes to NC State men's basketball right now, guys checking out. I mean, I'm just thinking of just human nature. I'm not saying these guys are doing that or have done it. I'm just saying human nature, after a loss like that, there's not a whole lot to look forward to other than your senior day coming up. I know you got a Big Four rivalry with Wake Forest coming into town this weekend, but how much are you going to get juiced up for that, to be honest, especially if your fans aren't even going to get juiced up and show up. It's a really difficult thing to get into. Graham, confidence when it comes to NC State men's basketball.
I don't have any.
Okay.
Just straight up, I'm sorry. I know this is part of the segment. You're supposed to provide one. After last night, that was the dagger this underwhelming season.
Hey, if it's none, it's none. If it's none, it's none. Confidence, I will say this. You can still play the young guys, and there's still room to grow for the young guys if they do stick around with your program after this season. Paul McNeil, Trey Parker, Dennis Parker, there are still young guys that you can play. So that's it. All right, let's go to North Carolina basketball, UNC. Graham, I'll start with you once again. What is your concern when it comes to UNC basketball?
My concern, how much face value can we take in last night's win for the Tar Heels?
Okay.
97 points, largest lead in the rivalry since largest halftime lead in the rivalry since 2017. You're up by 30, you win by 24. But again, it's against NC State, a team that I just said just got a dagger put in their underwhelming season. How much can you take from that win at face value if you're the Tar Heels?
Okay, my concern, kind of similar to what you're saying. Can you sustain what you did last night? Everyone can have like a good game or a good couple of games. Can you sustain what you did over 4, 5, 6 games? That's something that we haven't seen North Carolina do a whole lot. Can they sustain? That's the biggest question that they have. Because if you look back to what they've been doing in games of recent, obviously the win last night against NC State was a blowout win. They had a win on the road by 6 points at Syracuse, but were blown out by Clemson. They won a tight game against Pitt, blown out by Duke, lost a close game to Pitt, had to go to overtime with Boston College, lost close to both Wake and Stanford. So again, ups and downs this season, at least of late for North Carolina. Can they sustain what they did last night? Maybe the last couple games is the kickstart of them peaking at the right time. It might be. It very well could be. Can they? That's the big question, because eventually teams are going to start to figure out, all right, they're going to go 1-2, 1-1 press after making free throws or at different times of the game. All right, now we got to be ready to handle those things. So does other teams counter that? Okay, what's North Carolina's counter to the other team's counter? Can Hubert Davis stay one step ahead? That's all the question going forward as part of coaching. Graham, what is your confidence when it comes to UNC basketball?
My confidence, North Carolina as a team is starting to find confidence, quote unquote, on their big man. In the game against Syracuse, Jalen Withers had a standout performance for the Tar Heels. Last night, Van Allen Lubin, 13 points, was finishing at the rim with dunks, was just applying extra emphasis, finishing plays. And then Jalen Withers, 8 points last night in 20 minutes. And then Jalen Washington, 6 points in 17 minutes. These guys, even though North Carolina has been forced to kind of run a smaller lineup, it seems like these three guys, Washington, Withers, and Lubin, are starting to become more confident in their playing abilities. And if they can be able to score down low and get rebounds both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, it could jumpstart a North Carolina run in the ACC tournament and punch their ticket into the NCAA tournament.
All right, my confidence has been the growth of their young players, particularly Drake Powell and Ian Jackson. I think especially over the last couple of games, they've shown some maturity and growth. Drake Powell, mostly it's been on the defensive end of the floor. It's amazing how at his size, 6'6", good length for a guy that's 6'6", but seeing him come from like weak side help and recognizing weak side help to come up and block shots. We saw that a lot against Syracuse. But just the weak side help defense that he provides, he's been really good on the defensive end of the floor. He was actually back in the starting lineup yesterday. So he was in the starting lineup. I know the starting lineup's kind of shuffled around a little bit this season, but starting at the 3, I think that's the perfect spot for him to play. But we actually saw there's a moment that really stood out to me yesterday for Ian Jackson, and it happened to be on the defensive end of the floor. His guy, I can't remember who it was that he was guarding for NC State, was down in the corner, and there was a backdoor cut towards the lane, and there was a pass down low, a bounce pass to a guy cutting, backdooring his guy. And he is the weak side defender, the help defender, steps in, pokes the ball away, ball gets picked up by North Carolina, and it's back the other direction, and North Carolina gets a bucket off of it. I was like, that's maturity. That's floor sense from a freshman off ball as a defender, which led to a scoring opportunity and scoring chance for North Carolina. In my eyes, that's maturity. As a former coach, I love to see those kinds of plays. We know what Ian Jackson can do scoring the ball, which, by the way, when he's in double-digit scoring, North Carolina is now 11-5 when he scores in double figures. 11-5. The other games that he's played where he scored single digits, 4-6. But 11-5 when he's in double figures. We know what he is capable of doing as a shooter. Like the guy from three-point can be money at times. But it was the maturity from those young guys, and that play stood out to me early in that game. I was like, oh, he truly is getting in on the defensive end of the floor. Not saying he was not an incapable defender previously, but again, maturity and recognition. That's just off-ball recognizing the play in front of you even before it happens. That's maturity. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Graham Hill producing. We're doing a little ACC basketball cons and cons. We've done NC State. We've done UNC. Let's go to Wake Forest, who happens to be NC State's opponent this weekend. I'll go and start this one. Concerns when it comes to Wake Forest basketball. The injury to Cam Hildreth. So right now he didn't play in their last game against SMU, even though Wake Forest did win by 11, 77-66. They've actually had this whole week off, so they played this past Saturday. They don't play again until this coming Saturday. So a full week to get ready for their game at NC State this Saturday. But my concern is there isn't a lot of depth on that team, and he's one of their leading scorers along with Hunter Salas. So there isn't a whole lot of depth. I mean, Juke Harris is their number 6 guy coming off the bench. There's Parker Friedrichsen, but outside of that, there isn't a whole lot of depth on that team. So we'll see if Cam Hildreth plays this coming Saturday for Wake Forest. But to me, there's depth as a concern when it comes to Wake Forest. Graham, what say you about Wake?
My concern is them stumping their toe against NC State this past Saturday.
Oh, okay, this coming Saturday?
There's been some crazy things to happen when Wake Forest comes over to play NC State at the Lenovo Center. Take last year's game, for example. Kevin Keats getting ejected, DJ Burns throwing up in the hallway, the DJ Horn double birds. And all that madness, Wake Forest found themselves losing that game. And so far, if you're Wake Forest, you just got that bounce-back victory against SMU on the road after you gave up the 16-point lead in the fourth quarter against Florida State. Can you sustain the momentum of that road victory? They haven't played since then, so they've pretty much have had a bye week, essentially. You cannot afford to walk into Lenovo Center and underestimate NC State, even though they've just coming off that horrible loss to North Carolina, because crazier things have happened in Raleigh if you're Steve Forbes and Wake Forest.
Confidence when it comes to Wake Forest basketball, you have a true number 1 guy that you can count on. Like a true number 1 guy, which we're seeing in some college basketball teams. They don't have a true number 1 guy that they can lean on, and that guy is Hunter Salas. That guy is Hunter Salas for Wake Forest basketball. Yes, I mentioned Cam Hildreth and how well he's been playing lately, and it's a great backcourt that those two provide. But Hunter Salas can be, he's a walking bucket, as some people would call it. He's a walking bucket. And then, again, you go back to the game against SMU the other day. Again, without his backcourt mate and Cam Hildreth, Hunter Salas still puts up 20. Still puts up 20. You have a go-to guy, which the team they're playing, NC State, doesn't have a go-to guy. That's not just me saying it. Even Kevin Keats has mentioned that stuff too. All right. What is your confidence, Graham, when it comes to Wake Forest?
My confidence for Wake Forest with the injury to Cam Hildreth, as you just mentioned, maybe it allows senior Efton Reed not to emerge, but re-emerge for Wake Forest offense and defense. He's been one of the noble players for this program over the last 2 years. I think he'd be a great pair with Hunter Salas as far as leading this offense. So this might could allow Efton Reed to show his dominance in his final season for the Demon Deacons and kind of take over not just of a leadership role, but also this offense for the Demon Deacons.
All right, that's Wake Forest. Let's get to our final one, Duke basketball. Let's go Duke men's basketball. Graham, I'll let you kick this one off again. What's your concern when it comes to Duke?
My concern, the injury bug.
Okay.
You're starting to see some injuries happen for the Blue Devils. Malik Brown, shoulder injury, not looking too good. What's the latest update that we have?
Well, this actually ties into my concern as well, is the post defense with Malik Brown's injury. So John Shire spoke to the media earlier today. He said it was a dislocated left shoulder for Malik Brown. It's going to be at least a week, but seems like it might be a little bit longer than that. Based on kind of the timeline that he's estimating, it feels like he might be back ACC tournament. But at my guess, it does sound like the way he was kind of implying that by NCAA tournament he should be good to play, but at least a week at the minimum for Duke basketball. Obviously, they're going to go on the road and play at Illinois this coming Saturday up in Madison Square Garden, so to be determined. We'll see. But regarding his injury, that's kind of where things stand right now, which is kind of my concern as well, is that he is their best post defender,
right?
And he really completes them, especially on the defensive end. So that's my concern right now when it comes to Duke basketball. But Graham, what's your confidence when it comes to Duke?
My confidence is how well coachable Duke is. And I mean, it shows overall with their record, their dominance in conference play, but you've heard plenty of times from head coach John Shire where even after these blowout wins, he'll bring up one thing that he didn't like, whether it's zone entries, open looks, or rebounding, and then it's like the very next game, the players take that into heart and they go out there and just execute it at another level. Against Stanford, it was the zone entries. I mentioned how it looked like Duke was really prioritizing defending down low. After the Stanford game, John Shire comes out and says, I would have liked for us to rebound a little bit better. And then in the win against Virginia, they just totally dominate the boards as they double up their rebounding totals to Virginia. So just how well they're able to take these little tweaks and these things that John Shire wants to see and are able to translate into the next game. How well their coach is my confidence for the Blue Devils.
That's a great point. This actually, this kind of gives me, ties in, I guess you could say, to my confidence, is because they are coachable and they can do multiple things. To me, it's their versatility. It's versatility not only of the lineup and what John Shire can do, but it's the versatility of individual players. Obviously, we know Cooper Flagg is a stud. We don't need to go over that as much. We know he can shoot from the outside. He can work off ball, good on defense. He can put the ball on the floor himself. Same thing with Con Knipple. But Tyrese Proctor can be both an off-ball catch-and-shoot guy, or he can create his own shot. He can handle the ball just as much as anybody. The versatility that Mason Gillis, who's 6'6", a guard, can provide on the defensive end. We saw him when Malik Brown was out with a sprained knee earlier this season for a stretch of about 6 games or so. As a 6'6" guy, went it down and played the 5 at times. He can do that. And their ability to switch on anything on defense, by the way, gives them such versatility with their lineup. And that's going to be massive for them come postseason. So that's Cons and Cons. Looking at the 4 ACC schools in the state of North Carolina. By the way, it's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. I want to make a quick note here regarding the NFL. This might actually get Panthers fans maybe a little bit excited. The NFL actually announced the range of the salary cap for the 2025 season, and it's much higher than it was expected. So while an official figure has yet to be established, official number for the salary cap for 2025 has yet to be established, the league provides a projection of the salary cap range. The salary cap is going to be anywhere between $277.5 million and $281.5 million per club in 2025. This is according to Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. The estimated range that most clubs were anticipating for the 2025 season was between $265 and $275 million, by the way. So regardless of where it lands, it's still going to be higher than projected. So at minimum, the salary cap increase will be $22.1 million from the $255.4 million that it was in 2024. Anywhere from a $22.1 million increase to a $26.1 million increase. So you know that with the salary cap increasing a little bit, teams that might be pressed up towards the salary cap with not a lot of room to work with, i.e. the Carolina Panthers, this gives them a little bit more breathing room. Now, granted, everyone in the league is getting that extra salary cap space. Even the teams that have $80, $90 million to spend just got a little bit more. But again, this helps alleviate some pressure for teams that are really stressed when it comes to their salary cap. By the way, the estimation of the salary cap being between $277.5 million and $281 million, it's increased by at least $100 million since 2018. That's not that long ago. In 2018, the salary cap was $177 million. Just over the last 2 years, it's increased by $53 million. That's a lot of revenue coming into the NFL. A lot of revenue. And the NFL is finding new ways and forms to generate revenue outside of television contracts, whether it's doing other streaming deals. For example, the Christmas games on Netflix, the Black Friday game you get on Amazon. All this stuff, it adds up. The little things that they could do, and they're generating revenue for the league. Good on them. I mean, good for them. It's a lot of money. There's so much money in football. And guess what? More TV partners want to get on live sports rights. Live programming, when it comes to television these days, and by television I mean wherever you watch any sort of entertainment, whether it's directly through YouTube TV, whatever it might be, that's a massive increase. That's good for the league, good for the Panthers. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Coming up at 4:45, so just 4 minutes away, we have a feedback frenzy. We take a look around the comments that you leave us. We dive into what you say as fans and listeners next.
Tim Donnelly here for Miller Lending. Now, yes, congratulate me. My wife just had our second child, a brand new baby daughter. And with that comes so much joy and, well, savings, right? You got to save for a wedding. You got to save for another college education. Parents, back me up. Kids, they're expensive. So have Miller Lending make sure you're not spending unnecessarily on your mortgage each and every month. When you're signing up for a mortgage because you need to upsize, maybe a growing family, call up Miller Lending. They can shop for the best rate at 20 or 30 lenders to make sure you get the best rate, and Miller Lending can do their no closing cost loan to make sure you don't pay costs and fees and take all that cash out of your pocket. It sounds lovely because it is, right? Some things just live up to the hype, like parenthood, like being a girl dad. So give them a call, 919-447-3377, or visit them online at millerlending.com. Once again, that's millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, and MLS number 250-2146.
Move your sports day forward.
You know, the need for John Shire's Duke Blue Devils team to roll white hot into the ACC tournament and blow through the bracket is clearly evident. The selection committee is only putting in 4 teams and suggesting Duke might not even be a number 1 seed. I'm not sure what more they can do at this point to grab respect. I suppose juggle flaming swords?
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
The Lumineers. The Automatic World Tour, September 16th at Coastal Credit Union Music Park, Raleigh. With special guest Chance Pena. Tickets on sale Friday at livenation.com. The Lumineers pick up their new album Automatic, out now. It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
This is what breaking news on WREL sounds like.
A teenager accused of murder in custody tonight.
From the moments that matter.
Let's take a look at those live pictures right now from Sky 5.
When seconds count.
Authorities say they are very concerned for the safety of the public.
When your safety is the priority.
Breaking news right now, a large fire in eastern Wake County. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
Watch WREL News. Breaking news coverage you can count on.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This hour of the drive is brought to you by RDU Airport Authority. Lufthansa is excited to take off from Raleigh Durham International Airport, connecting you to destinations like Germany, Italy, India, and beyond. Say yes to incredible journeys. Book today at Lufthansa.com.
Con Knipple, top of the key, drives, right elbow. Here's a lob. Malowacz to throw it down to get the party started.
It's the drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. 4:45 on Thursdays, we do a segment like we call Feedback Frenzy. And here on the Feedback Frenzy, this is where we look at the comments that you all leave, whether it's on our YouTube page, on the live chat, under the video comments. Maybe it's something that you directly message at us on X or whatever, Instagram, whatever it might be. This is your opportunity to shine in that regard. So, Graham, I know we kind of sift through the pile of comments. Take it away.
Our first comment for Feedback Frenzy today comes to us from @80s Pastor Dude. This relates to NC State's loss last night to UNC. He says they actually outscored UNC in the second half. By they, he means NC State.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier in the show, because, by the way, that's off of a video that we actually, from a segment we had early in the show today, talking about NC State, like, I even said, yeah, you scored them out in the second half. Cool. What was the final score?
97-73.
Yeah, you lost by 24. Okay, you outscored them by a few points in the second half. Great. Cool. What did that get you? Nothing. Was it Jeff Bizdelic, the old Wake Forest basketball coach? Hey, if you take away that big run by the other team, we played them even. Yeah, well, guess what? That big run still counts. It wasn't even close. Like, North Carolina let off the pedal a little bit. All right, you outscored them by a few points in the second half. Great. Does that make you feel better? No, it shouldn't. You still got blown out yesterday. All right, Graham, what's next?
Moving on, this comes in terms of your conversation you had yesterday about the Carolina Panthers backing themselves into a corner. Lisa Lewis, 5996, says, Dan Morgan knows what to do. Don't worry about it. The man knows his job. He didn't fail last season. He hired a coach that seems to be building a winning team and has inspired the team to, in all caps, keep pounding and win games. Also in all caps, just trust the process.
All right, trust the process. Let's not get into the Philadelphia 76ers territory, okay? We're like, hey, we're going to lose to win. Because people hear the process and think about the Sixers, and that did not quite turn out so well. So this is, again, the conversation that we had yesterday, which actually was based off of a fan question about the salary cap situation that the Carolina Panthers have been in, about how they don't have a lot of cap space going into this year, yet don't have a lot of young stars they could build around and don't have a lot of high-quality talent. Why are you so pressed against the salary cap? And I was just more or less explaining the situation that the Panthers are in and how they got there. And, yeah, Dan Morgan clearly, I think, has an understanding of what he needs to do. And part of the building of the culture was eating some dead cap off some contracts of guys that you wanted to get out of the building. I think this is also the reason why. I think this 100% is the reason why that the Carolina Panthers went and took Brant Tillis from the Kansas City Chiefs organization, hired him away from Kansas City, because Brant Tillis is very much known for salary cap and making sure the numbers and everything fit when it comes to contracts and those kinds of things. That's what Brant Tillis was brought in to do, was to help Dan Morgan in that regard. It was really cool watching the Carolina Panthers put out their Panthers Blueprint, which is like their video series they do on their own YouTube page and such. And they kind of go behind the scenes on a lot of different things, whether it's at practice or we saw last year with the NFL draft about how Brant Tillis was sitting right there next to Dan Morgan when the Carolina Panthers traded down in the second round to in the 50s, or was offered a trade from like pick, I think it was 38 or so, down in the second round into the 50s by the LA Rams. And what was offered, and Brant Tillis was immediately coming with like, hey, this is what this pick is valued at, and this is essentially what you're trading for, and these kinds of things, was quick right on top of it. That's what he was brought in to do, to help them get out of this salary cap mess that the Panthers are in. All right, Graham, what is next?
Staying on the Carolina Panthers.
All right.
Luke Ward 1714 says, I don't think the situation is as bad as it looks on paper. There are several no-brainer moves that will free up a good amount of cap space.
For the Carolina Panthers, yes, there are. There are actually quite a few moves that they could make, and it's going to come at the expense of cutting players. But that's that's a life of pro sports, and it's a life of the NFL. There are different things that the Carolina Panthers can do to save cap space. For example, Taylor Moton, their right tackle, could get a contract restructure if they still obviously want to keep him. I think he's been steady as a right tackle for a few years now. They can keep him as a right tackle, but restructure his contract where his salary cap hit can go from $31.3 million. You can reduce that by about $12.5 million. So it's a way to save money. Now, you're spreading that cap hit over the next couple of seasons, but you're anticipating an opportunity to cushion that in some way, shape, or form. Letting go of Jadeveon Clowney is going to save you $8.6 million. I'm sorry, not $8.6 million, but close to $8 million. It's going to be more like $7.75 million. So by letting him go. You also, for example, can move on from Shy Tuttle and save about $3.2 million. You can let Miles Sanders go, save over $5 million. I mean, just those few moves right there, that's quite a bit of money that's saved. And obviously you have to make sure that you have salary cap space to sign not only your undrafted free agents, but also your draft picks as well. So you have to make sure that you have money in that regard. You could let Dane Jackson, who's a defensive back who barely played this last year due to injuries, and then other guys just kind of playing better than him. Dane Jackson's a player that you can potentially move on from and save $2.3 million. So there, again, options that the Carolina Panthers do have when it comes to saving money. Actually, I take that back. It'd actually be more than $2.3 million. It'd be higher than that, closer to $3 million. So again, those are all moves that the Carolina Panthers can make in order to save money this offseason and also upgrade their talent with it. All right, what's next?
Our final feedback frenzy comments comes to us from Andy Galen, 1964, and it relates to Duke basketball. He says, I love our scoring ability, but the defense is more impressive than I have seen in years. They are hungry dogs after a savory treat every possession. I love the analogy there, Andy.
Oh, a little good old savory treat for a hungry dog. Yes, to me, I said it yesterday. Or so it's either yesterday or 2 days ago. If Duke's going to win a national championship, it's going to be because of their defense. We know what their offensive abilities are. We know what Cooper Flagg can do. We know what Knipple is capable of doing, Proctor, all these guys. But to me, it's their size and length on the defensive end of the floor, and to use his analogy, the tenacity with the hungry dogs after a savory treat. That is 100% how Duke plays on defense. Teams that face Duke have not seen their size. From a whole, from 1 through 5, have not faced it. If you can, on WREL Sports, you might have to dig around and look for a little bit, but Chris Lee a few weeks ago, when Duke played at home against UNC at Cameron Indoor, did a breakdown of the size of Duke, in just terms of like their actual measurements of players. Their average roster, like their average player on their roster is 6'7". And of the guys that actually played, no one's shorter than like 6'4" or 6'5". The average height of Duke roster is just over 6'7". The average height of an NBA roster is like just over 6'5". So their roster as a whole is bigger than an NBA roster. College teams just aren't used to seeing that. They're just not. There's some college teams out there that might have a 7-footer and like a 6'11" guy, but a bunch of 6'6" and things like that. You don't roll out like what Duke can with 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'9", 7'2" as a starting lineup. And then the guys coming off the bench are 6'5", 6'6", 6'10", another 6'11" guy. No other team rolls that out. So to me, it's the defensive end of the floor that is most impressive and will carry them to a championship if they do win one. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly. That's Feedback Frenzy. Big thanks to all of you. Again, we encourage you all leaving thoughts in the comment section on YouTube or posting stuff at The Fan Rookie on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, you name it. That's where you can find me. We love hearing from each and every single one of you all. We love you all being part of this show, being part of this community. Coming up on the drive, we have the starting five, including both a look at NC State and UNC from that game yesterday, a little USA-Canada preview, and also Texas and USC are doing something I never thought would happen. We'll have that in the starting five coming up.
Listen for the...
Oh, my goodness!
Check in for the...
Beautiful back cut and a two-hand jam.
Don't miss the...
Race to the other end. Get ready for the show!
What was that?
A reverse pull-up! My goodness!
Hubbard got hit, and he made the shot! You're home for the Final Four from San Antonio.
Cooper got it to rattle home!
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now? Or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Looking for the perfect kitchen, bath, or flooring? At Home Outlet, we don't just promise the guaranteed lowest price, we back it up.
Yeah, but how low are we talking?
We'll beat any competitor's price by 10%.
That's wow. But okay, what makes your store better?
Funny you should ask. We're 100% employee owned. Everyone here has a stake in making your home projects affordable and stress-free.
So I'm getting expert advice, unbeatable prices, and I'm supporting employees who actually care?
Exactly. Why shop anywhere else? Home Outlet, kitchens, baths, floors, and more at the guaranteed lowest price. Visit us at homeoutlet.com today.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRL meteorologist Mike Mays. Clearing skies tonight, 19 the low. Anything that melted will refreeze tonight, so watch out for icy roads overnight and in the morning. Later Friday afternoon, more thawing takes place, 42, with refreezing by Saturday morning again.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones closes the day down 450 points at 44,176. Market update brought to you by Habitat for Humanity of Wake County. Habitat for Humanity Restores have a huge selection of high-quality building materials at a fraction of a regular retail cost. Come shop and save on your next project. 5 locations at trianglerestores.com. This hour of the drive is brought to you by Deep River Sporting Clays. Deep River Sporting Clays is the only area dealer for Caesar Guarini and 5-bar battalion shotguns, including the Siren line for women. Learn more at deepriversportingclays.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
It's the drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Don't worry, folks. Tim will be back tomorrow. Back for one day and ready for the weekend. Graham Hill producing the show today. Let's go and get right into the starting 5, starting with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Dribbles to the foul line. Bounces it right away to Styles. Steals it. Head of steam left to right at the three-point line. Euro step. Bucket. Scoops it up. Missed it. Cleans it up. And ties the game at 6. Dontrez Styles stealing a basket 4 minutes in.
NC State lost yesterday to North Carolina. 97-73. Don't worry, folks. We're going to talk about North Carolina. And when I talk about North Carolina, I'm going to say North Carolina beat NC State 97-73. But we're going to go on the NC State side of things here first. Bad day. Oh, that was rough. Rough for NC State. Looked like they just did not have an answer. During the game, nothing. Early on, you could tell right away that North Carolina was just clearly the better team. They had obviously just felt like obviously the better talent. They had the better game plan, it felt like, and obviously they had the better execution. Early in the game, it was 6-6. Before you know it, it's 46-18. It's a 30-12 run for North Carolina. The league got as high as 30, and it really wasn't that close. And Kevin Keats post-game talked about, hey, you know what? Just look at the box score. I'll tell you
when you look at the first half, we gave up 7 threes. We only gave up 1 in the second half. We turned the ball over 9 times and only 1 in the second half. We moved the ball in the second half. We did a really good job. But, once again, we just, they came out and I thought we played hard. I just thought they beat us to 50-50 balls, and then we got a little tight, and instead of coming together, we got a little bit divided. And once we got in the locker room, we settled down, but we were in such a big hole. And that's disappointing. And we got to figure out that our half really cost us the game.
Yeah, they're in a deep run at halftime, and you heard Kevin Keats say right there, you couldn't dig yourself back in. Even though they did outscore North Carolina by a few points in the second half, it was all for nothing. It was all for nothing. They couldn't close the gap. They just simply couldn't. I mean, if you're a State fan and you feel good about the second half, okay, great, but you still lost by 24.
More victories.
There were none yesterday. There were none. There was a lack of post presence for NC State. They couldn't finish inside the lane. Nothing worked for them. And it was interesting to hear Kevin Keats say, yeah, we kind of got divided a little bit. Maybe guys trying to do too much. Sometimes that happens when you're desperate. You start to get the hero ball aspect, and you're not actually incorporating your teammates or anything like that. And NC State just dug themselves too deep of a hole yesterday, and it was just bad. It was a bad day all around for NC State, and they had zero answer yesterday. Don't worry, we're going to dive into the North Carolina side of things here in just a few minutes. But that's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
You won't be hearing football hits at spring games at Texas and USC. That's right. It was announced earlier today that both University of Texas and University of Southern Cal have joined Nebraska in canceling their spring games. Now, granted, each program having their different reasons. So Steve Sarkisian, head coach of the University of Texas, actually told Kay Adams on the Up and Adams show earlier today saying, we're not going to have a spring game, saying, quote, college football is changing right now, and we need to do a great job as coaches of adapting. Continuing on, saying, quote, normally you play your last game and you have a bowl game 30 days off. This is actually Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte told ESPN this, saying normally you play your last game and you have a bowl game 30 days off. When we went last game at Texas A&M, then the SEC championship game, home game, quarterfinal, semifinal, the reality is We played 4 extra games. In my mind, it was, hey, guys, we got to reimagine what the spring looks like. So that's what Texas is saying. A lot of wear and tear on the bodies because, again, all the extra games that they played. SEC championship game, home game, quarterfinal, semifinal, all that stuff that's been built up. That's a lot of extra games for that school. Now, if you're looking at USC, comes from head coach Steve Sarkisian saying, quote, the development that's needed for these guys to get ready for the fall is a little bit different than it used to be. I just don't know if rolling the ball out and playing the game when we only get 15 practices is best for us to maximize the opportunities that we get. Okay? Adapting. I also kind of mentioned something in there about maybe a different way for having fan engagement and so on and so forth. Nebraska actually said a couple weeks ago, head coach Matt Rule, saying this. Should I say it in a Matt Rule tone? To really
Why
get the
not?
people? Why not? This is what Matt Rule had to say about canceling the spring game, effectively for the reason saying, we're not playing the spring game because it's basically a showcase game for other schools to recruit our roster.
I could see that.
So here's what Matt Rule said. I hate to say it like this, but it's really because last year we were the only one of the more televised spring games. And I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just absolutely free, open, common market. And so I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world. I don't want these guys all being able to watch our guys and say, wow, hey, look, it looks like he's a good player. Let's go get him. That's, again, quoting Matt Rule. Those are actually his words, by the way. That 100% makes sense to me. 100% makes sense to me for all those reasons. For Texas, yeah, we've got a lot more wear and tear on our guys. Playing an extra spring game might not be the best thing for us. Nebraska going, hey, I don't want our guys to get poached. I don't want people looking at our roster, watching us on TV and go like, all right, let's find a backdoor channel to poach off that defensive back or whatever it might be. I get it. I don't know if this is going to be this might be the start of a trend. We might start seeing teams not do spring games. Maybe in some situations, I don't know. But for example, if you're East Carolina, you need to try and get as many people on your campus to visit as possible, whether it's fans in the stands, recruits, whatever it is. The spring games are good for you. By the way, Texas and Nebraska are some of the most attended spring games. Like, Nebraska sells out for their spring game.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of money, too. That's something you have to keep in mind. If you're canceling a spring game, you got to make up that revenue in some way, shape, or form. Because even if you have, for example, at Texas, how big's their stadium? I'm just going to throw out a number. Let's say you have a 100,000 seat stadium. And you're charging $10 a seat to come to a spring game. That's $1 million. That's a lot of money you're sacrificing. Now, again, Texas, they've got a lot of money, but not everyone can afford that. So, again, I really am curious to see. I actually remember when last year, Mac Brown in his final spring practice actually told the ACC network, don't air our spring game, because he didn't want anyone to see what kind of their game plans and some different stuff they were doing schematically with their team. And I think also there was still the QB battles and all that was going on as well. He didn't want anyone to see any of it. Maybe that's the route. Hey, we're not going to, don't broadcast it, which I know the networks don't like because that's inventory for them. Big Ten Network wants to air the Nebraska spring game. ACC wants to air their spring games of their schools because people watch. Hey, there's football. I'm curious to see long-term how this looks. I really am. Maybe the spring game turns into like a glorified 7-on-7. Maybe that's what it is. So, hey, no contact. It's a glorified 7-on-7. We do stuff for fan engagement, and we can have some fun. Maybe that's what it turns into.
Autograph sign-ins afterwards.
100%. And you know what? You can do all those kinds of things.
Donate to our NIL fund when you walk into the door. There's buckets when you enter the stadium.
Yeah, there's buckets. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
We just pass around the offering plate. That's what we're going to do. Ushers will be coming down the aisles. The music plays. That's number 4. Let's get to number 3.
Mark Williams, 2 more, and a foul.
I love the Hornets play-by-play guy, Collins. He's so good. It's funny that, Graham, you chose a Mark Williams highlight for the Charlotte Hornets, who, by the way, they beat the LA Lakers yesterday, 100-97. You're probably wondering why I'm bringing this up. It's the first game back for both these teams since the All-Star break, and it actually is a makeup game from a game that got postponed back in January because of the wildfires that were taking place in Southern California. NBA postponed a game between the Hornets and the Lakers back in January, so this was the makeup date. So first game back after the All-Star game for both these teams. But the thing that we kind of just found ironic or funny is that, remember, these two teams agreed for a trade before the trade deadline a few weeks ago, and the LA Lakers failed the Mark Williams physical, saying, hey, some red flags and stuff popped up. No, we're going to nix this trade. So Mark Williams goes back to the Charlotte Hornets. Dalton Connect as well as Cam Reddish go back to the Lakers, along with another the 2031 first round pick, as well as the potential of a pick swap in 2030. That all goes back to the Lakers. And then they played each other yesterday. I'm just curious how it felt for Mark Williams to be out there on the floor in the starting lineup for the Hornets, no less. Like, oh, you failed my physical. Apparently I'm not capable of playing, yet he's in the starting lineup for the Hornets that night. I just find that incredibly funny. He had 10 points and 9 rebounds yesterday. Sure enough, the Hornets get the win. And Dalton Connect comes off the bench yesterday, gets 3 points. Cam Reddish did not participate. Coach's decision. Anyway, I just found that whole situation just very funny. It's like, oh, y'all didn't want me? Mark Williams like, oh, you said you wanted me, but then you failed my physical. And yet, here I am playing. By the way, LaMelo Ball, 27 points last night. Miles Bridges, 29 for the Charlotte Hornets. Another actual NBA note here. This is kind of some breaking news, for lack of a better term. It's actually broken out an hour ago. We got breaking news here, Graham, NBA. I know this word kind of came out about an hour or so ago, but the San Antonio Spurs are actually shutting down Victor Wembanyama for the rest of the season. He actually just competed in the All-Star game on Sunday over the weekend. Victor Wembanyama is expected to miss the remainder of the season with deep vein thrombosis. Easy for me to say. Deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder. The team actually announced that today. So it's a blood clot.
Yes,
it's a blood clot. It was discovered after Wembanyama returned from the All-Star game to San Antonio. The condition typically is treated with blood thinning medication, which usually precludes a player from participating in a contact sport such as basketball because you're on blood thinners, be a little bit more anemic, things along those lines. So anyway, he should 100% recover, should 100% be fine, but this guy is going to be the face of your league. The guy, Victor Wembanyama, is going to be the face of your league or one of the faces of your league for years to come. So it stinks for him that this happens. It stinks. I'm happy that they caught it and something bigger and a deeper issue doesn't happen. It's something completely out of his control. It's a blood clot issue. But just wanted to make sure I share that note out there for all the NBA fans out there and people that are just curious when it comes to the world of basketball. All right, that's number 3. Let's get to number 2.
Just the two of us. Charlie McAvoy put one on net. Now we're 9 seconds in. We had a fight 2 seconds in, another one 1 second later. Now in the center of the action, it's Colton Parayko and JT Miller.
Oh, yeah, 3 fights in 9 seconds this past Saturday between the United States and Canada. Big 3-1 win. Jake the Jackwagon Gensel gets 2 goals for the United States in that 3-1 win on Saturday. He looked really good, by the way. He's like, I got that guy. that guy. I'm rooting for him now because of the team or country he's playing for. I'm rooting for him now in that regard. But tonight, 8 o'clock, United States, Canada, in a game that every sports fan, whether you are a fan of hockey or not, this is something that you want to sit back and enjoy at 8 o'clock tonight. Everything you want in sports. Truly the best players for their respective countries. It's best on best. There's no weak spot really on either of these teams. It is the best players from Canada, the best players from the United States that all play in the NHL are playing in one game, winner takes all. Like, it's the equivalent of a Game 7.
What more could you want?
Nothing. You really, not much. Really, not much at all. And by the way, if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan, you got Seth Jarvis playing for Canada. You have Jacob Slayton playing for the United States tonight. Now, the whole fights that we saw last game, the 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the game, I don't think we get that tonight, personally. I don't think we get the fights, but that doesn't mean the intensity and the ferocity of that game that we saw on Saturday isn't going to be there. The fights that we saw at the Bell Center in Montreal between Canada and the United States was a tone setter for that game. But also I think it was a tone setter understanding, hey, we might play each other again. I think both countries understood that. Like, hey, we might face each other again. And by the way, by virtue of the United States winning that game against Canada, they were a lock to be in the championship game anyway. Only thing that Canada had to do was just take care of business against Finland, which they did. But the reason why I don't think you're going to see the fights tonight like you did in that first matchup on Saturday is because I think the players realize the best way that you can impact the game is by being on the ice. And sitting in the penalty box for 5+ minutes isn't going to help your team. It's just not. I don't think we get the fight. Honestly, I don't think we get one fight tonight. Players are going to treat this thing like a Game 7. And Mike Sullivan, head coach for Team USA, anticipates this game to be a hard-fought battle, but also saying it's great for the sport of hockey.
It will be a hard-fought battle. That's what I would anticipate. So I think it's a great celebration of hockey. It really is. I mean, it's there's some of the generational talents on both sides. It's so awesome from my standpoint. You know, I feel like I get the best seat in the house being behind the bench and being up close to it. It's to watch what these guys do on the ice at the pace that they're able to do it. Sometimes we just marvel at what goes on out there with some of these guys. So it will be an incredible atmosphere. I know our guys are excited about the opportunity to play in the championship. That was the objective when we got here. You know, we're going to have to earn it again, just like we're trying to do each day here. So that's probably what jumps out at me the most.
J.J. Watt, former NFL player. You can see him sometimes join on Pat McAfee. I think he's also on CBS Sports, if I remember correctly, with their NFL coverage. But J.J. Watt actually posted this on X earlier today, talking about the United States-Canada game tonight. Saying, quote, "It's just incredible how much of a home run Four Nations has been for the NHL and hockey in general. Friends," talk about his friends who never watched a hockey game in their lives, reaching out, asking what the plan is for tonight's game, what food we're ordering, etc. Definition of growing the game. I love it for the sport of hockey. There really isn't a whole lot of other big sporting events that are taking place tonight. I mean, it's not like you have, you know, a lot of big-time college basketball games tonight that are going to be locking in people for the most part. I mean, this is the sporting event tonight. This is. I mean, go back to Saturday when you had other big sporting events taking place on Saturday night, and just Saturday night in general. It still peaked at over 5 million viewers. It was still an average of 4.4 million in the United States.
And the good thing about it is it caps off in our country. On our soil, in Boston.
It's in Boston.
The first time they played, it was in Canada. We know the storylines tonight. It gets to wrap up and conclude. So this is a chance for the United States hockey fans that have been great throughout the Four Nations to really put the rest of not just the league, but the rest of the world on notice as far as, hey, the United States, hockey belongs in this country. We're starting to take over this sport a little bit.
Hey, United States have won the last 2 gold medals in the World Junior Championships of hockey. If you win this one, officially our sport. I can't wait for tonight. Just sit back and enjoy. That's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
Trimble on the drive to the top of the key, kicks it over on the left side to Cadeau. Left corner, Withers feeling it and hits another triple.
UNC won last night 97-73. And let's be honest, it to me was their most complete game that they played this season. And Hubert Davis, the head coach, talked about what was the difference defensively for them that made things so difficult for NC State offensively.
Yeah, on ball screens, we just did a really good job of making them make plays in tight spaces. We were connected to shooters. We didn't give the rollers a clean lane to get to the basket. We really forced them into tough contested mid-range shots, which very difficult to make. And once we were able to get the rebound, then everybody was running. We were getting out in transition, and but I thought defensively we did a really good job. And then when we pressed, I thought we just kept creating turnovers, and that was just ignited us, and we played really well.
They did. They played fantastic yesterday. I thought that was their most complete game that they played. The defense was great for North Carolina, whether they were going with a full court press off of make free throw, a 1-2, 1-1 press, whether they're just applying pressure man-to-man at three-quarters court and just picking up. NC State only had 26 points in the paint yesterday. Just 26 points in the paint. Whereas North Carolina had 52. And here's the thing that impressed me most yesterday about North Carolina. They dominated on the boards. They out-rebounded NC State 40-21. They had 14 offensive rebounds yesterday. They had 21 second-chance points, did North Carolina. That's the most they've had since the season opener against Elon.
That's vintage North Carolina right there.
Exactly. They looked like UNC basketball yesterday. By the way, that season opener against Elon, they had 22 second-chance points. Yesterday, they had 21. It felt like Carolina basketball. Offensive rebounds. They have 14 fast break points, 52 points in the paint. They kept the pressure on NC State all night. They shot about 40% from there. It was 40%. They were 8 of 20 from 3. RJ Davis struggled from behind the arc, but otherwise, as a whole, they still shot 40% from 3, which is a good average. It's good, not great, but not bad either. A good average as a team. But from the floor overall, 57.4 points as a team. And they had so many guys contribute in different ways. You put up 97 points and only one guy scored over 20. That was RJ Davis with 21. They scored 97 points and only one guy scored over 20. That stands out to me. That's something that stands out to me because you have balanced scoring throughout your lineup. Trimble gets 15 off the bench. Ian Jackson gets 12. Jalen Withers knocks down a couple of threes again. He has 8 points. Van Allen Lubin, all in the second half, and most of them early in the second half, 13 points. Again, spreading out the scoring. That's what stood out most to me about North Carolina yesterday. It felt like Carolina basketball. In the last 2 games, 88 points scored on the road at Syracuse, 97 points scored against NC State yesterday. Can they sustain it? Can they? Syracuse isn't the toughest of competition. NC State definitely is not this year for sure. Can they sustain it in the games that they have coming up? Because they do have a lot of big ones remaining. They can't afford to lose. Now, granted, their competition level that they're playing isn't great either. They're home against Virginia Saturday. They're at Florida State, home against Miami, at Virginia Tech. Not the toughest of competition. Now, Virginia still plays that tough defense or tries to play that similar style that they had under Tony Bennett. So maybe that flusters UNC a bit this Saturday at the Dean Dome, but there's no excuse for them by the way they played yesterday. If they play the way they did yesterday in the 4 games they have before Duke, they should win those all easily, which is good for a team trying to get into the NCAA tournament. They need that stretch of wins. They can't afford any losses between now and March 8th when they play Duke. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. That's the starting 5. Coming up, we have the numbers game, Graham. We need 2 contestants for the numbers game. Call 919-860-5326, 919-860-5FAN for your chance to compete in the numbers game and win a $25 gift card to Hardee's. Numbers game this week brought to you by Hardee's. Indulge in their new menu of maple flavor goodness with sweet maple biscuits served all day long and breakfast now served till noon. We need 2 contestants to compete in the numbers game. If you want to win a $25 gift card to Hardee's, you got to compete in the numbers game. If you want to compete, you got to call in 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326. We need 2 contestants for the numbers game. $25 Hardee's gift card on the line.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
What city's fan base are you rooting against the most?
Kansas City.
They just lost. Why do you have to root against them now?
Because they've been at the top and they let you know about it every single chance that they get.
Well, they can't say nothing about it now. They lost. They got embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
They sure did. They sure did. But I'm just saying prior
You're still
to that.
rooting against them?
Yeah, big time.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What? You expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. It's time to play the numbers game. At stake today, we have a $25 gift card to Hardee's. And we have 2 contestants on the line. We have Lee in Holly Springs, and we have Thor in Raleigh. That's right. The God of Thunder himself. All right, we're going to ask you guys a question. Give us your answer. Graham will choose his favorite answer, and whatever answer Graham chooses, that person will go first in the numbers game. If there is a tie in the numbers game, whomever went first wins the numbers game. We'll start in Lee in Holly Springs. A lot of snow the last couple of days, Lee. What is your favorite snow day activity?
Well, it's sledding, and it used to be in person, but now it's watching my kids.
Okay, sledding. I like it. You can still hop on the sled. I don't judge. By the way, I wish I had a sled. I would love to go sledding, even at my age. All right, so Lee says sledding. Graham, any questions for Lee regarding that?
No, big fan of sledding. Pretty straightforward.
Let's go to Thor in Raleigh. Thor, what is your favorite snow time activity?
All right, I feel like I can't say sledding now. So we had a great time making snow cream with the family yesterday.
Okay.
Get the ingredients out, enjoy it in bed together.
All right, making some snow cream. All right, Graham, any questions regarding snow cream?
How snow cream is made, but I don't think we have time to get into that. As somebody who's never had snow cream before, I think I'm going to have to go with Lee and Holly Springs when it comes to sledding.
Okay, so you're going to go with Lee and Holly Springs. All right, Lee and Holly Springs, you go first. Don't worry, Thor, stay on the line. Lee and Holly Springs, we have 4 categories for you to choose from here in the numbers game. We have top Carolina Panthers of the 2020s, so currently the decade that we're in. We have top Carolina Panthers of the 2000s, so the odd years. NBA, not my real name, so players that actually go by different names than what their actual legal name is. And we have NHL Hurricanes only. What category are you choosing, sir?
I'll go with the second Panthers category.
All right, so these are the top Panthers of the 2000s, okay? So the top Panthers of the 2000s. So there'll be 30 seconds on the clock, Lee. Try to get as many names as you can in 30 seconds. Obviously, you want to try and get all 5, but get as many as you can. I will say the name of the player. I'll still say the team name, even though you know it's still Carolina Panthers. I'm still going to say the team name just to keep things fair for both sides. You do get 1 pass, Lee. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Your time starts when you hear the horn. Steve Smith, Carolina Panthers.
89.
Correct. Jake Delhomme, Carolina Panthers.
17.
Correct. Julius Peppers, Carolina Panthers.
90.
Correct. Dan Morgan, Carolina Panthers.
55.
Correct. D'Angelo Williams, Carolina Panthers.
34.
Correct. Let's go. Let's go. Another 5 for 5 this week. Graham, what's the time?
20.9 seconds.
20.9 seconds. Okay. Lee, fantastic. Stay on the line. You haven't won anything yet because we got to go to Thor in Raleigh. Thor, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Lee just got 5 for 5 in 20.9 seconds.
Neat.
You have to get 5 for 5, and you got to beat 20.9. Okay. You can do this. The opportunity's still there. Difficult task, but it's an opportunity. Your categories to choose from are top Panthers of the 2020s, NBA, not my real name, and NHL Hurricanes only.
Gotta go with Canes.
All right, going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes. Same thing. I'm going to give you the name of the player. I'm still going to say the team name. You got to give me the jersey number. 30 seconds on the clock. You do get 1 pass. You got to get all 5 in under 20.9 seconds. Thor, are you ready?
Yes.
Time starts when you hear the horn. Yes, Barry Kokaniemi, Carolina Hurricanes.
7.
Incorrect. Jack Drury, Carolina Hurricanes.
I don't know.
Jack Drury, Carolina Hurricanes. Give me a number.
14.
Incorrect. Yes, Barry Kokaniemi, Carolina Hurricanes.
61.
Incorrect. Jack Drury, Carolina Hurricanes.
17.
Incorrect. Yes, Barry Kokaniemi, Carolina Hurricanes.
All right, you've made a fool of me. You win.
I did not make a fool of you. You chose the category.
Made a fool of me.
That's fair. That's fair. Hey, Thor, you do have an opportunity to call back tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
You do. So maybe better luck next time if you're able to get through. But
I sure hope so.
I also hope so. By the way, great name. Fantastic. Enjoy the snow cream. Go enjoy some sledding before it all melts. But thank you for calling in and participating. But this goes to Lee in Holly Springs, 5 for 5 in 20.9 seconds. Lee, congratulations, sir.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Love listening to the show.
Well, thank you for listening in. By the way, Tim is going to be back next week, Lee. Or actually, I'm going to say next week, tomorrow. Tim will be back tomorrow. So still definitely appreciate you tuning in for sure. By the way, are you watching the Four Nations USA-Canada game tonight? You watching?
I will. I want to give a shout out to Tim. Congratulations on the baby. And absolutely, I'll be watching the Four Nations. It was a great first game, and I'm hoping to have another good one tonight.
Okay, give me a score prediction.
Let's go US 3-2.
US 3-2. I like that. That was my prediction. Oh,
nice.
Lee, stay on the line. Graham's got to get some information. Congrats to you on 20.9 seconds. We had another 5 for 5 this week. You've had a lot of 5 for 5s. Thank you again. Stay on the line. Really do appreciate it. Graham, we've had a lot of 5 for 5s recently in the numbers game. I love it. I love when we get the 5 for 5s, especially when there's a 5 for 5 on the first one and the second opportunity for that next person. All right, let's see if they can match it or beat that time. I love it. Unfortunately, Thor and Raleigh, I should say. Lee and Holly Springs won, but Thor and Raleigh, you tried. You tried. But nonetheless, congratulations on the 5 for 5. Lee and Holly Springs. We will have another opportunity, again, 5:30 tomorrow. Make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you are tuned in. Another chance for a $25 Hardee's gift card. Again, the numbers game this week brought to you by Hardee's. Indulge in our new menu of maple flavor goodness with sweet maple biscuits served all day long. And, sweet maple biscuits served all day long. And breakfast now served till noon over at Hardee's. Speaking of hockey, by the way, I have the predictions tonight, 3-2. United States beats Canada. Seth Jarvis is going to be in the lineup for Canada tonight. That was actually confirmed by their head coach, John Cooper, earlier today. Apparently, he was getting, in their morning skate, was getting some work with the special teams units. I know he did kill penalties, at least in the early games. Maybe he gets a little power play time on their second unit, which would just be awesome. But Seth Jarvis is going to be in the lineup tonight, even though he didn't play in their last game against Finland. But he's going to be back in the lineup, fresh and ready to go. And Jacob Slavin obviously going to be in the lineup tonight for Canada. Cannot wait for tonight. Real quick news and notes here, actually, when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes have been back on the ice practicing. They actually started practicing a couple of days ago just to get back into the flow of things as they are getting themselves ready to go on the road. Get ready to get back to playing games, which is it's kind of wild to think about. This the 2 weeks off that the Carolina Hurricanes have had from playing. They're back on the road this Saturday, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they're going to be on the road. I'm actually curious to see. By the way, at practice this week, you haven't seen Sebastian Aho, you haven't seen Mikko Rantanen because they just wrapped things up for Team Finland. Seth Jarvis and Jacob Slavin playing for Canada and the United States respectively. So those guys haven't been at practice. So I'm curious to see what things are going to look like for Rob Brind'Amour and the Carolina Hurricanes when things do come back to go on Saturday. Do Seth Jarvis and Jacob Slavin get the day off on Saturday? I really am curious to see that because tonight it's going to essentially be a Game 7 intensity. And the games that each of these guys have played in the Four Nations tournament in the NHL, in the Four Nations Cup, it's been pretty grueling for these guys physically. And Jacob Slavin has actually played the most ice time for Team USA, at least among their defense corps. Like, he's played the most ice time, which is something he's not used to, but the physicality that they've been playing with, I really am curious to see if we don't see Jacob Slavin on Saturday, or if we don't see Seth Jarvis. Now, certainly we're going to have Mikko Rantanen back. We're going to have Sebastian Aho back. I'm anticipating those guys playing. But I'm wondering if we don't see Jarvis, if we don't see Slavin on Saturday. Canes play Saturday. They don't play again until Tuesday, the 25th. The Canes are going to be on the road on the 25th, which is Tuesday next week. They're on the road in Montreal. So they're going to be in Toronto. Then they got to go to Montreal. maybe Jarvis and Slavin don't play Saturday just to let their bodies actually have a little bit of a break, something that most of the rest of the team has been able to have. By the way, quick injury note, Tyson Jost, who's been kind of in and out as a fourth liner this season for the Carolina Hurricanes, been out with a lower body injury. He's been back practicing, expected to be ready to go come Saturday. Kind of fills that role of a fourth line center. But the Canes aren't back at home until a week from today is when they're back at home at the Lenovo Center, which I think, Graham, Thursday next week is Whalers night against Buffalo, correct?
Correct. Pucky will be back in attendance.
Gotta love it. I love Whalers night. I really do. It's just fun. I grew up I grew up loving hockey, and the Whalers never really were that good of a team. They never were, but man, that logo, that colors, gosh, they just popped. They had the coolest. Absolutely the coolest. They had the coolest in the NHL, and everyone loved the Charlotte Hornets stuff when I was growing up. I had a Charlotte Hornets binder. I grew up in Virginia. I had a Charlotte Hornets binder. The Charlotte Hornets, like the starter jackets back in the 90s, if you had one of those, it didn't matter where you lived, you were cool. Simple as that. You were cool. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. And Dennis Cox here with my friends over at Law Tigers. Folks, your opportunity has returned. Your opportunity is back. The Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, Shiny Side Paint, and the Carolina Hurricanes have all teamed up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. That's what I mean by your opportunity has returned. Your opportunity to enter to win a Canes motorcycle, it's yours. You just got to go to caniacsbike.com. Again, caniacsbike.com. That's where you can enter to win, folks. Fourth time that they've done this, giving away a bike. And again, it's not a bike. I've seen other pro hockey teams give out motorcycles, and usually they just take a bike and slap a couple stickers on it, and they're like, yeah, we're giving away a motorcycle for your team. Look, we slapped a couple stickers on it. No. Not this one, folks. This one is custom painted by Shiny Side Paint. Ashley over there did a fantastic job. And this is a custom-built motorcycle by Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson right here in Raleigh. It's where I bought my motorcycle. It's an absolutely gorgeous bike. Go to caniacsbike.com. You'll see the bike. You'll see it, pictures of it, everything. It's a custom build, white wall tires. It's gorgeous. I can't win the bike. I would love to, but you can, folks. Go to caniacsbike.com. And if you do win, hit me up. We'll go for a ride together. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. North Carolina got a big win last night. What's at stake next for them? Can they close out their season on the high note needed to continue further into the postseason? We'll discuss that next.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and their latest game, their latest win, their pursuit of the Stanley Cup? Well, I can quench your thirst. I can feed that appetite on the Canes Corner podcast, the morning after edition, which drops the morning after every Hurricanes game. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Your heart. It's the only one you have. Fortunately, you also have a choice. Expert cardiologists, talented surgeons, highly skilled specialists, all of whom chose WakeMed. Why? The main reason is the same reason patients choose WakeMed. Everything you need for the best possible care is right here. Learn more at wakemed.org. WakeMed Heart and Vascular Physicians. Your heart, your choice.
Well, springtime is on the way, and the next couple of months are going to be critical for lawn care. That's why we're back with Kevin from Fairway Green. Crabgrass, weeds, fertilizer, time to get busy.
Now's a fantastic time to put down your first application of crabgrass control, and if you have a cool season lawn, it's a great time to put down fertilizer and broadleaf weed control. Broadleaf weeds never stop.
Great advice as usual. Nothing beats a Fairway Green lawn. Request a free estimate online at fairwaygreen.com or call 919-329-0095.
You turned your dating app for pets into a business, which just turned over its first billion. You turned around the fortunes of a failing football club, politely turned down a Nobel Peace Prize, and turned up on Mars in your own reusable rocket. All while struggling to turn on the dishwasher. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover business development titles on Audible.
Hey friends, Paul Ihander from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. Even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or want to bet on a comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle till the final buzzer. And you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now's the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/Paul and join today. FanDuel.com/Paul for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
This hour of The Drive is brought to you by RDU Airport Authority. Lufthansa is excited to take off from Raleigh Durham International Airport, connecting you to destinations like Germany, Italy, India, and beyond. Say yes to incredible journeys. Book today at Lufthansa.com.
And for us to have 15,000 fans there, I mean, it's just, I really wanted to thank them. They made a difference. And the players have said that to me. After the game, they were like, that crowd was different.
That crowd was pretty cool yesterday. You were just sitting at home watching on the couch, experience the game that way. It was the crowd was great yesterday. And I was actually curious with the snow and everything how the crowd was really going to look. Like how many people were going to show up. I know that North Carolina said, hey, if you can get here, obviously walk if you can, but if you can get to the building, we're going to let you in. And then, yeah, about 15,000 people. Much of the upper deck wasn't full. It was, the first 4 or 5 rows of the upper deck were filled up for the most part. But other than that, it's mostly in the lower bowl. And a lot of the students got a chance to sit down in the lower bowl, and it just is a different atmosphere because students bring a different energy. There's a little bit more passion on the student side. But that obviously helped North Carolina yesterday. But can their performance yesterday, can they carry that over the final 5 games of the regular season? That's the big question for UNC basketball. By the way, it's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim. One last time this afternoon, Graham producing the show. Tim will be back tomorrow, folks. But is what UNC has done over the last couple of games, especially after the loss on Monday last week to Clemson, where they looked bad. They looked bad. And really, in 2 out of 3 games, they looked bad. The game at Cameron Indoor got blown out in that one against Duke. Then they had a 1-point home win against Pitt. And they get blown out at Clemson. It was a rough stretch. They actually had lost 3 or 4 games. Because before the game they lost against Duke, they lost to Pitt on the road at Pitt. And they had lost games. They beat Boston College in overtime, but they had lost games even before that at Wake Forest and home against Stanford. So it really wasn't and it hadn't been a strong stretch for North Carolina. The last 2 games overall have been pretty good. Overall, still plenty of flaws, still plenty of things to work out. But you got a road win where you put up 88 points against Syracuse. Against Syracuse, below 500 team, kind of towards the bottom of the ACC. And you beat NC State, who's not a good team, and basically at the bottom of the ACC. Tied for dead last. So as the competition overall is going to be a little bit tougher. Virginia's better than NC State. They're better than Syracuse, I'd say. Florida State's kind of in that same category of UVA. Miami's a bottom dweller, literally is the worst team in the ACC. And then Virginia Tech's kind of right there with the Florida States of the world. And then you round off against Duke. The 4 games leading up before Duke, North Carolina should win each and every single one of those, especially with how they played yesterday. Can they keep that same intensity on the defensive end? I will say this, though. I was, lack of a better term, a little disappointed with the second half in some ways. This is a nitpick here. This is a nitpick here. I wish they were a little bit tougher defensively overall in the second half. But again, it's human nature. You have such a big lead to kind of throttle down. Again, human nature. It happens in sports. We see it all the time. You see it all the time. But I was, again, nitpick. I thought they would have, I really wanted to see them increase their lead from halftime. But nonetheless, it was still a good second half overall, even though NC State outscored them by a few points. Again, North Carolina throttled down. Can they sustain that over the next 4 games? I think they can. I think they can, because as long as this team continues, and we hear Hubert Davis saying we've had a lot of really good, intense practices, if mentally they can stay sharp and stay focused and have the mental intensity to match the physical intensity necessary to get things done on the floor, I think they can get to the Duke game having won 6 straight, which is good for a team that's trying to get into the NCAA tournament. If the selection committee sees, all right, this team's kind of on the bubble, but hey, they're playing good basketball right now. They've won 6 straight before they had to go up against Duke. Who knows what happens in that game? If you went out the rest of the regular season and beat Duke in the process, these last 5 games, I think you're in, personally. But hey, they had a strong 6 games that they won late in the regular season. You get a win or 2 in the ACC tournament, that's good for them. They need that. I think they can do it. I think they can. And to me, it's the tone setters on the floor that do it. Like Seth Trimble, to me, is the tone setter of that basketball team. Is he their best scorer? No. Is he their biggest guy? No. He's their leading rebounder. But he's also probably their best on-ball defender, especially on the perimeter. He's a guy that you follow. He's a tone setter for that team. Even if he came off the bench yesterday, still a tone setter for that team. I think they can win all the way through and play with the intensity that they did. I think they can. Question is, will they? It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox here for Loan Pronto. Folks, don't go through another year with all that high-interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait, folks. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get your free rate quote now with no hard credit pull. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. We have Overdrive coming up here, folks. But before we do, I want to remind people out there, if you haven't done so already, go to our YouTube page, 99.9 The Fan. We love hearing from each and every single one of you. Love interacting with every one of you. Tim will be back tomorrow, folks. Big thanks to Graham Hill producing the show. But, folks, we still have the conversation about North Carolina coming up, about their win yesterday. 3 things that impressed me. You'll hear that next on The Drive.
The Adam Gold Show.
They're more pressing